Chapter 3052. The clash between Hong Meng and the foreign primogenitor was unimaginably terrifying. It was so heaven-defying that it made people pale with fright. The death arena was extremely extraordinary and had a self-repairing function. When the restrictions were damaged, the death arena's restrictions quickly repaired themselves. Moreover, the death arena's restrictions were greatly strengthened in a short period of time. The death arena would evolve different levels of protective restrictions according to the destructive power of the cultivators during the battle. It was very strange. The battle between Hong Meng and the foreign primogenitor was naturally extremely shocking. The cultivators who were watching the battle, including the great emperors, were all shocked. It was impossible to see such a powerful battle on a normal day. This kind of battle was like a battle that surpassed the great emperors. World Creation Fist. Suddenly, Hong Meng attacked and condensed a supreme divine fist. When that fist was thrown out, it was as if a brand new world was created. Worlds collapse. The foreign primogenitor also attacked. He also used a peerless and invincible method. The foreign primogenitor's punch was as if it was destroying the world. One created the world, the other destroyed the world. It was a complete contrast between the extremes of yin and yang. The battle between the two was too intense. After the two sides collided for 49 times, Hong Meng displayed his divine might and used a new divine ability. An ancient divine court appeared behind Hong Meng. The divine court was surrounded by endless divine light and was full of mystery. One could vaguely see that it was an ancient immortal court that was emitting intense fluctuations. It was filled with too many mysteries and unknowns. The supreme divine court, at this moment, the demon lord could not help but be shocked. Lin Feng was also shocked. Was that the legendary supreme divine court that appeared behind Hong Meng? Lin Feng didn't know how many times he had heard that name. The door of eternal life, the supreme divine court. These were equally famous supreme treasures. There were too many shocking secrets hidden. Many people wanted to find the door of eternal life and the supreme divine court. But how could it be so easy to find the supreme divine court and the door of eternal life? Rumor has it that Hong Meng brought out some shocking things from the supreme divine court in the past. The demon lord suddenly said. This news was very shocking, and Lin Feng couldn't help but be surprised. The demon lord held many secrets, but this guy's mouth was very tight. If he didn't want to say anything, no one would be able to get anything out of him. Now that the demon lord was talking about Hong Meng and the supreme divine court, Lin Feng knew about this secret. Lin Feng transmitted his voice. Hong Meng is an existence formed by the great rock king's divine ability. However, the existence formed by this divine ability can continuously display many powerful techniques. This is truly inconceivable. The highest level divine ability can indeed achieve this. Of course, the prerequisite is that you can comprehend the true essence of this divine ability. Some cultivators may not be able to comprehend the true essence of this divine ability, even if they cultivate their own divine ability to the great perfection realm. The demon lord said. At this time, the supreme divine court behind Hong Meng charged towards the foreign primogenitor. The foreign primogenitor roared towards the heavens. A stellar world appeared above him. Both of his hands were holding up the Star River world. Then he quickly rushed towards Hong Meng. The foreign primogenitor was also very powerful. He was condensing a new divine ability to fight against Hong Meng. However, the supreme divine court condensed by Hong Meng was truly terrifying to the extreme. The supreme divine court displayed an almost heaven-defying ability. It was unstoppable. It destroyed everything. The stellar river condensed by the foreign primogenitor was instantly destroyed. Then, The supreme divine court charged towards the foreign primogenitor. Bang! Following an earth-shaking explosion, the foreign primogenitor was completely destroyed by the supreme divine court. Then, the supreme divine court charged towards Holy Scorpion, evil lord. After seeing this scene, the cultivators of the 9 provinces were all in an uproar, who said that the giant-level existences of the 9 provinces were inferior to the ancestors of the foreign creatures. This was simply nonsense. If the giants of the 9 provinces were still around back then, if the foreign creatures invaded the 10,000 worlds, they would only die. No, this is impossible. Holy Scorpion, evil lord, couldn't help but roar loudly. He didn't dare to believe what he was seeing. He summoned the phantom of the foreign primogenitor, but the foreign primogenitor was not inferior to Hong Meng. This was difficult for him to accept. Bang! Accompanied by the sound of a violent collision, Holy Scorpion, evil lord, was sent flying by the supreme divine court. Crack, crack! The sound of cracking could be heard. Holy Scorpion, evil lord's body directly split open, and dense cracks appeared. Holy Scorpion, evil lord, was already injured after taking only 1 blow from the supreme divine court. Therefore, it was impossible for Holy Scorpion, evil lord, to resist the supreme divine court's attack. The supreme divine court once again charged towards Holy Scorpion, evil lord. However, Holy Scorpion, evil lord, dodged the supreme divine court's attack. Then, he tried to break the restriction of the death arena and escape. Holy Scorpion, evil lord's palm was surrounded by a strange black energy, and that black energy fused into the restriction of the death arena. The restriction of the death arena began to crack. Holy Scorpion, evil lord's methods were really strange. However, the death arena was very special. The speed of the restriction's repair was much faster than the speed of the restriction's destruction. Holy Scorpion, evil lord's idea of destroying the restriction of the death arena and escaping was completely cut off. The Great Rock King proposed to fight with Holy Scorpion, evil lord because he valued the terror of the death arena's restriction. If the restriction of the death arena didn't trap Holy Scorpion, evil lord with Holy Scorpion, evil lord's strange methods. Even if he was surrounded by a group of people, Holy Scorpion, evil lord might be able to escape. It's useless. Don't struggle anymore. I'll kill you today. The Great Rock King's voice was cold. The Supreme Divine Court once again attacked Holy Scorpion, evil lord. Holy Scorpion, evil lord, dodged the Supreme Divine Court's attack in a sorry state. However, after dodging more than 10 times, Holy Scorpion, evil lord was still ruthlessly suppressed by the Supreme Divine Court. Bang! With a violent collision sound, half of Holy Scorpion, evil lord's body exploded. Holy Scorpion, evil lord is going to die. The Great Rock King is really powerful. Even a terrifying existence like Holy Scorpion, evil lord is no match for him. How terrifying! Everyone has the right to kill the foreign creatures. The cultivators of the 9 provinces were all excited. The cultivators of the myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and other foreign forces watched the battle in the death arena expressionlessly. I can't accept this. Holy Scorpion, evil lord, roared angrily. He was unwilling to be killed just like that, but there was no turning back. The Supreme Divine Court continuously attacked Holy Scorpion, evil lord's body. In the end, Holy Scorpion, evil lord's body exploded. However, his soul was very tenacious and wasn't destroyed. The Great Rock King raised his right hand and slapped at Holy Scorpion, evil lord's soul. Chapter 3053. Seeing that the evil Scorpion Lord had fallen, Lin Feng and the others were delighted. The Great Peng King was too powerful. Even the evil Scorpion Lord had been killed by him. Their goal this time was to kill the evil Scorpion Lord to prevent him from continuing to wreak havoc in the 9 states. Now, the evil Scorpion Lord was finally dead. Lin Feng and the others couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. The great Peng King flew down and handed the evil Scorpion Lord's origin to Lin Feng. Lin Feng didn't stand on ceremony with the great Peng King. He put away the evil Scorpion Lord's origin. This was the 5th great emperor's origin that Lin Feng had obtained. 6 out of the 7 battles had already taken place. Only Lin Feng hadn't gone up the stage. The great Peng King and the others didn't dissuade Lin Feng, because if they dissuaded Lin Feng from going up the stage at this time, it would have a negative impact on Lin Feng's Tao heart. Therefore, they wouldn't dissuade Lin Feng like this. Should he go up the stage and fight? Everything depended on Lin Feng, that fellow that was released by Dugadi Tian. Do you dare to come up and fight with me? Lin Feng looked coldly at another foreign creature. Even though this foreign creature's soul and physical body had already been destroyed, it was still alive. Furthermore, the current soul was created. But Lin Feng still felt that it was necessary to kill this fellow. It was because this fella might know where some other foreign creatures were suppressed. If he waited until he recovered his vitality and released some of the other foreign creatures that were suppressed, it would cause a disaster. Ever since this foreign creature's physical body and soul were destroyed, its combat prowess had long been unable to be compared to the past. Lin Feng felt that he had many tricks up his sleeve. If he fought this foreign creature, his chances of winning were very high. Reckless thing, since you want to die, I naturally don't mind fulfilling your wish. The foreign creature's cold eyes looked at Lin Feng. His murderous intent towards Lin Feng was like a torrential flood. It was like the Yangtze River was overflowing and couldn't be controlled. Get up here and die. Lin Feng soared into the sky and flew toward the death arena. He descended onto the death arena. Meanwhile, the foreign creatures also flew onto the death arena. Next, a series of restrictions appeared on the death arena. The powerful restriction completely sealed off the void above the death arena. Life and death would not be determined. He would not be able to leave the arena of death. This Lin Feng is too full of himself. Even though that foreign creature's battle prowess has plummeted, it's still a great emperor. Isn't it easy to deal with a cultivator who hasn't reached the great emperor realm? Since he's courting death, it's naturally a good thing for us. That's right, he's courting death. He only has himself to blame if he dies. We've lost 6 great emperors in the first 6 battles. It can be said that our losses are extremely heavy. However, we can finally turn the tables in the 7th battle. Let's see how Lin Feng dies later. The myriad races, foreign creatures, and cultivators from other forces began to discuss. In fact, they thought that when it was Lin Feng's turn to go on the stage, Lin Feng would most likely refuse to go on the stage. After all, Lin Feng was only a boundary emperor realm cultivator. This was a battle between emperors. Lin Feng was included in the previous battle. However, as a boundary emperor, Lin Feng had many reasons to refuse to fight. As for the others, they wouldn't say much either. However, these people didn't expect Lin Feng to actually dare to go on the stage. They were naturally happy to see such a thing. A boundary emperor challenging a great emperor? Wasn't this courting death? Although Lin Feng had many powerful magic treasures and divine abilities, these myriad races, foreign races, and cultivators from other forces still didn't think that Lin Feng could defeat a great emperor realm expert. After all, a boundary emperor realm cultivator defeating a great emperor realm expert was like a myth. It was hard to believe that this was true, but on that day, Lin Feng was going to do something that would shock the world. Brat, die. The foreign creature directly attacked Lin Feng. He opened his hand and a dark kingdom condensed in his hand. That dark country descended from the sky and moved towards Lin Feng to crush him. This divine ability was called the Dark Kingdom. Rumor had it that any cultivator who was devoured by the Dark Kingdom would be trapped in the Dark Kingdom forever. This was a top-notch divine ability passed down by the foreign creatures. Its power was abnormally terrifying. The dermic powers of the Great Emperor realm were extremely terrifying. It wasn't easy for Lin Feng to fight against an expert of this level. It was obviously unrealistic to rely on his own divine ability to fight against the foreign creature. However, Lin Feng had many treasures on him. Moreover, he also had many terrifying techniques. To deal with the foreign creature, he had to end the battle quickly. It was because the foreign creature's magical force was extremely powerful. If they fought a battle of attrition, then they would lose. If he fought in a battle of attrition, Lin Feng would definitely not be able to defeat the foreign creature. Therefore, Lin Feng had no intention of fighting a battle of attrition. Lin Feng wanted to end the battle quickly. Therefore, facing the foreign creature's attack, Lin Feng directly used his most powerful technique. He first used the one spirit into three pure ones technique. Lin Feng split into three. Then, the three Lin Feng began to circulate the domineering aura in their bodies. The 9 layers of domineering aura superimposed into a powerful magnetic field. Lin Feng's magnetic field enveloped the foreign creature. The foreign creature's combat power was greatly suppressed by Lin Feng's magnetic field. Even the power of the dark divine nation condensed by the foreign creature was greatly weakened. At the same time, Lin Feng's first clone controlled the 9 demons painting and a stone sword. The second clone controlled the 5 dragons wheel and a stone sword. Lin Feng's original body controlled the bell of hell and the heavenly drum. These 6 treasures were each more powerful than the last. Now that they were all used together, the power released was simply too terrifying. Lin Feng began to chant the incantation to control the bell of hell. This was an incantation that he had learned from the demon lord. It could greatly release the terrifying power of the bell of hell. After Lin Feng finished chanting the incantation, immediately, the Hell King's bell vibrated, sending out waves of destructive energy. Buzz. Terrifying ripples emerged from the Hell King's bell. These were the dark rune ripples. They were abnormally powerful. The underworld ripples collided with the dark divine nation. Although it didn't destroy the dark divine nation, it greatly weakened its power. Then, Lin Feng struck the heavenly drum. Loud bangs came from the heavenly drum, like the sound of thunder. The heavenly drum released an extremely tyrannical power that bombarded the dark divine nation. In an instant, the power of the dark divine nation was greatly weakened again. Lin Feng's 2 clones also took out the magic treasures in their hands and swept toward the dark divine nation. 2 stone swords, 9 demons painting, and 5 dragons will displayed their might. Puff! A tearing sound was heard. The dark divine nation was destroyed. Your life. I'll take it. Chapter 3054. Brat, I'll kill you. The foreign being looked at Lin Feng coldly. In terms of treasures, he naturally couldn't compete with Lin Feng. Therefore, the foreign being wanted to use his divine ability to deal with Lin Feng's treasures. Moreover, the foreign being was extremely confident in his divine ability. He firmly believed in one sentence: in the face of absolute strength, any means would be useless. The foreign being believed that he could defeat Lin Feng. In a life and death battle, one was most afraid of lacking confidence. The loser was usually the one who lacked confidence. In terms of confidence, the foreign being naturally didn't have any problems. In order to deal with Lin Feng, the foreign being used the terrifying divine ability that the evil Scorpion Lord used before. The figure of a foreign primogenitor appeared behind the foreign creature. That figure emitted an incomparably terrifying aura. When that terrifying existence appeared, it was as if heaven and earth were about to be imprisoned. Due to the drastic drop in the foreign being's combat strength, the foreign ancestor that he summoned naturally couldn't be compared to the one that the evil Scorpion Lord summoned before. However, this was only a relative term. In reality, the foreign ancestor that the foreign being summoned was still incomparably terrifying. This foreign ancestor's body contained extremely powerful magic power, like a vast ocean, vast and majestic. Moreover, the most hair-raising thing was that the foreign ancestor grasped many supreme techniques. Facing the attacks of many supreme treasures, the foreign ancestor directly used the divine ability stellar transposition. With his body as the center, a huge vortex formed around him. When Lin Feng's 6 supreme treasures slashed over, they were all teleported to other places. They couldn't hurt the foreign ancestor at all. Heaven falls and earth rends. Then, the foreign primogenitor displayed another formidable divine ability. This divine ability was called heaven collapsing, earth rending. An invisible force descended from the sky and blasted his body. Instantly, Lin Feng felt as if he had been struck by lightning and was blown away. His face couldn't help but turn extremely pale. As for Lin Feng's 2 clones, they were directly shattered. The 9 layers of haki also became 3 layers of haki. The suppression of 3 layers of haki on the foreign being was naturally far from being comparable to 9 layers of haki. That brat's divine ability was broken. As expected of a foreign being, his combat strength is truly terrifying. In the face of absolute strength, other methods are simply useless struggles. I've long said that this Lin Feng can't be a match for the foreign being. Now, it seems that my guess was right. Just wait and see. Before long, Lin Feng will definitely be killed in the death arena. If I can kill Lin Feng, it'll be a good ending for this battle. When the cultivators of the 10,000 clans, foreign races, and other influential groups saw that Lin Feng's 3 pure ones had been destroyed, they started talking. Everyone looked at Lin Feng with a cold expression. Lin Feng is probably really in danger now. The great emperor isn't that easy to deal with. Lin Feng shouldn't have rashly entered the arena. It's too late to say that now. Lin Feng's situation is very bad now. He won't really die in the arena, right? The 9 states cultivators couldn't help but discuss spiritedly. These 9 states cultivators were all worried for Lin Feng's safety. They hoped that Lin Feng could win. However, the current situation was clearly not good for Lin Feng. The possibility of Lin Feng losing seemed to be higher, so this made everyone even more worried for Lin Feng. The foreign progenitor punched towards Lin Feng. This time, the divine ability the foreign primogenitor displayed was the world's collapse divine ability. Lin Feng quickly put away his other magic treasures and took out the heavenly mystery pagoda. The defensive power of this magic treasure was extremely terrifying. The heavenly mystery pagoda floated above Lin Feng, and rays of divine light poured down to protect Lin Feng's body. When the foreign being's attack landed on Lin Feng, most of the power was blocked by the heavenly mystery pagoda's defensive light barrier. But Lin Feng was still blown away by the force of the collision. Lin Feng's face couldn't help but turn even paler. He took the attack of the foreign progenitor. The heavenly mystery pagoda's defensive light barrier actually let out cracking sounds. The foreign progenitor's attack was just too terrifying. Even if you have this defensive imperial weapon, it's useless. It can only let you live a little longer. Once the defensive imperial weapon is broken, it will be the time of your death. The foreign progenitor looked coldly at Lin Feng. It was as if he was looking at a dead man. The Great Pung King, Peacock King, Fire Crow Taoist, Stone Golem King, and Han Teng's expressions turned serious. The current situation was extremely unfavorable for Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, "The battle has just begun. Don't be too full of yourself." With that, Lin Feng began to use the 72 transformations. He used the 72 transformations to simulate a foreign progenitor. Roar! This foreign primogenitor roared out. Then he pounced on the foreign progenitor, summoned by the foreign being. Bang! Instantly, the two foreign progenitors engaged in a fierce battle. After all, the foreign progenitor that Lin Feng created was derived from the 72 transformations. Although it was powerful, there was still a gap between it and the foreign progenitor summoned by the foreign progenitor. Therefore, the foreign progenitor that Lin Feng created was no match for the foreign progenitor summoned by the foreign being. However, Lin Feng's foreign progenitor could hold off the foreign being's foreign progenitor for a short period of time. Lin Feng quickly charged at the foreign being. He wanted to seize this rare opportunity to kill the foreign being. If he hadn't killed any foreign creatures before the foreign primogenitor was destroyed, then he would have been able to do so. Lin Feng knew that he was in danger. "I've long heard that you know the 72 transformations, but I didn't expect it to be so miraculous. However, so what if you can hold off the foreign progenitor summoned by me for a short period of time? Soon, the foreign progenitor that you created with the 72 transformations will be destroyed. When that time comes, you'll still be dead." The foreign being sneered while dodging Lin Feng's attacks. The foreign being didn't want to fight Lin Feng head-on. Clearly, he was waiting for the foreign being he summoned to wear down the foreign being that Lin Feng created. Then, he would order the ancestor of the other world to kill Lin Feng. Chapter 3055. Therefore, these foreign creatures were all extremely sinister and cunning. Even if they were strong enough, they didn't want to put themselves in danger. Just like the foreign creature that was dealing with Lin Feng now. His combat strength was clearly terrifying, but he just didn't want to fight Lin Feng head-on. Lin Feng knew what the foreign creature was thinking. He couldn't help but mock. "What? You don't even have the courage to fight me? You only know how to dodge. It seems that after being killed once, you've completely become a coward." At the mention of being killed last time, the foreign creature was abnormally angry. That time, he was beaten until his soul was scattered. Even when they thought about it now, the foreign creatures still felt a type of extremely happy feeling. If it wasn't for the Tai Dao Honorable Lord, the foreign creature knew that he had died long ago, and he wouldn't have been reborn. But the Tai Dao Honorable Lord also warned him the soul reconstruction technique could only be used once. If he died again, the soul reconstruction technique would also lose its effect. Because of this, the foreign creature became even more cautious, hearing Lin Feng's provocation and ridicule. If it was before, the foreign creature might have chosen to rush up and fight Lin Feng to the death. But now, the foreign creature suppressed the anger in his heart. He sneered and said, "Your provocations are of no use to me. I'm looking forward to seeing you die miserably at my hands. Do you think I have no way to deal with you just because you keep dodging my attacks? If that's the case, then it's too laughable." Lin Feng sneered and waved his hand. Suddenly, a loud rumbling sound was heard. Then, the Demon Emperor's small world flew out. Devour! The Demon Emperor's small world enveloped the entire death arena. The foreign creature in the death arena was naturally enveloped by the Demon Emperor's small world. There was no way to dodge at all. Then, Lin Feng activated the Demon Emperor's small world to devour the foreign creature. The Demon Emperor's small world released a powerful devouring power that enveloped the foreign creature. The foreign creature quickly dodged the devouring power of the demon emperor's small world, but he couldn't dodge at all. The foreign creatures were swallowed into the shifter emperor's small world. The moment Lin Feng entered the demonic emperor's small world, his spiritual power was connected to the demonic emperor's small world. His spiritual power would increase crazily. Moreover, it was in the shifter Thearcha's small world. Lin Feng's various abilities would be greatly improved. For example, Lin Feng's speed was almost instantaneous in the shifter Thearcha's small world. Moreover, the laws of order in the shifter emperor's small world could also cause a lot of trouble for the foreign creatures. Lin Feng also entered the shifter emperor's small world. A small world? Why does this Lin Feng have so many treasures on him? He even has a small world, and this small world's aura is so terrifying. It's definitely a small world created by a top-grade emperor. The otherworldly creature has been devoured into the minor world. Did Lin Feng kill the otherworldly creature? The cultivators from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other foreign powers all had gloomy expressions on their faces. Originally, they thought that Lin Feng was dead for sure. But as the battle progressed, Lin Feng's methods became more and more shocking. Especially now, Lin Feng's great imperial bestial small world was absorbing the foreign cultivators. After seeing this scene, even the cultivators from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other foreign powers were not sure if the otherworldly creature could kill Lin Feng. They even thought that Lin Feng might be the one to kill the otherworldly creature. Maybe Lin Feng can create a miracle, a cultivator from the 9 states said. If Lin Feng really killed the great emperor, it would definitely be earth-shattering. The entire 9 states would be shaken. After all, Lin Feng was only a boundary emperor. For a quasi-emperor to be able to kill a great emperor was simply unimaginable. Inside the shifter emperor's small world, clattering sounds could be heard, dense chains of order wrapped around the foreign creatures. The foreign creatures waved their hands. Hundreds of millions of sword chi condensed and slashed towards the chains of order. Clang, 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 clang. The sword chi slashed the densely packed chains of order and blocked their attacks. Whoosh! At this moment, Lin Feng transformed into the Taiji yin-yang diagram. He was as fast as lightning. He broke through the dense sword chi. In an instant, he arrived in front of the foreign creatures. Then, he charged towards the foreign creatures. "You're courting death." The foreign creatures' expression was indifferent as they threw a punch at Lin Feng. Swoosh! Lin Feng changed from the state of the Taiji yin-yang diagram to his original appearance. Then, he activated the 5 times dragon elephant arm. Lin Feng's physical body had already reached the Imperial Emperor realm. The 5 times dragon elephant arm was even more terrifying. After the foreign creature's physical body was destroyed, this physical body was most likely only at the God Emperor realm. How could it contend against Lin Feng's physical body? A battle of physical bodies. This was definitely one of Lin Feng's great advantages. That was why Lin Feng thought of a way to come in front of the foreign creatures and engage in a physical battle with Lin Feng. Although the foreign creatures had heard that Lin Feng's physical body was powerful, Lin Feng was only a quasi-emperor realm cultivator after all. Therefore, in the eyes of the foreign creatures, even if Lin Feng's physical body was extremely powerful, he wouldn't be much stronger than him. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of a physical battle with Lin Feng. Bang! Then, the 2 sides collided. The power of the 5 times dragon elephant arm erupted and endured Lin Feng's terrifying punch. The foreign creature was blasted flying. Crack! Crack! The right arm that collided with Lin Feng's fist broke, and the white bones were exposed. Ha 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 ha, after losing your physical body, you've become too weak. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh out loud. He quickly charged towards the foreign creatures, wanting to kill the foreign creatures in one go. The foreign creature's expression was extremely gloomy. He didn't expect Lin Feng's physical body to be so terrifying. He quickly retreated, wanting to dodge Lin Feng's attack. However, Lin Feng's speed was too fast. Once Lin Feng got close to him, if he wanted to get rid of Lin Feng, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. The foreign creatures were no exception. They wanted to get rid of Lin Feng. It was too difficult. Lin Feng quickly arrived in front of the foreign creatures. Then, he threw another punch at the foreign creatures. It was still the 5 times dragon elephant arm. The foreign creature's right arm was severely injured, so he could only use his left arm to resist. He threw out a punch with his left arm, colliding with Lin Feng's 5 times dragon elephant arm crack. Crack! The sound of bones cracking rang out. The foreign creature's left arm was also broken by Lin Feng's punch. The foreign creatures were sent flying again, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood in midair. Lin Feng quickly chased after him and threw out a punch at the foreign creatures. Chapter 3056. His arms were crippled. Moreover, he was injured by Lin Feng. Right now, the foreign creature's situation was extremely bad. Facing Lin Feng's attack, if the foreign creature tried to take it head-on, his injuries would worsen, and he might even be killed by Lin Feng. Seeing that Lin Feng's punch was about to land on the foreign creature's body, the foreign creature did not fight Lin Feng head-on this time. His body actually split into pieces. Lin Feng's punch blasted over. It did not hit the foreign creature. The foreign creature took advantage of this opportunity to quickly distance himself from Lin Feng, and his body also finished reassembling. What kind of technique is this? Lin Feng was dumbfounded, and he looked at the foreign creature in disbelief. Just now, the methods the foreign creatures displayed were just too strange, leaving even him shocked. Lin Feng had never seen such a strange technique. His body was split into pieces, but he did not suffer any damage. This was not a technique that was used when he was risking his life. The foreign creature did not answer Lin Feng. Instead, he roared ferociously, "Lin Feng, you little bastard, you injured me so badly. Today, I will tear you into pieces." The foreign creature roared as he formed hand seals. Clearly, he began to prepare a powerful attack to deal with Lin Feng. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent, and his eyes were full of killing intent as he looked at the foreign creature. This guy was really a centipede, stiff but not dead. The demon lord's voice rang out in Lin Feng's mind. This guy used the Great Split technique of the 3,000 Great Tao. This Great Split technique can quickly split the body, but the body will not suffer any damage. However, after using this kind of divine ability once, it usually needs a period of time before it can be used again. In fact, many powerful divine abilities had a cool-down time. After using it once, he would need a period of recovery before he could use it again. For example, Lin Feng's A Thought Flower Blooms, Sovereign's Descent, Ancestral Dragon Fists, and other divine abilities. After using it, it would require a period of recovery. It was the same for the Great Fission technique. Seeing the foreign creatures condense powerful attacks to deal with him, Lin Feng also began to condense powerful divine abilities to deal with the foreign creatures. He stepped forward in the void. That is the eternal Tao of destiny. I have inherited the inheritance of the Tao of destiny. I will carry forward the Tao of destiny and illuminate the world. Please descend the power of destiny and use it to punish those lowly creatures who dare to blaspheme the Tao of destiny. A deep voice resounded between heaven and earth. Lin Feng felt that he had the potential to be a scammer. When Lin Feng's voice fell, a river of fate appeared in the sky, and the power of fate descended from the sky. 8. Desolation Destruction. At this time, the foreign creature had already successfully condensed a powerful attack. This 8 Desolation Annihilation directly condensed a terrifying ball of energy. That ball of energy was condensed from the power of annihilation. That ball of energy quickly flew toward Lin Feng and blasted toward Lin Feng. This divine ability was also an inheritance of the foreign world. It was extremely powerful. However, now that the foreign creature was injured by Lin Feng, its combat strength had decreased greatly. In addition, Lin Feng's triple magnetic field had greatly weakened the foreign creature's combat strength. That was why the current foreign creatures couldn't release the power of the 8 Desolation Destruction divine ability at all. Whoosh! Dense chains of order swept toward the ball of energy condensed by the 8 Desolation Annihilation. Those chains of order greatly reduced the power of the ball of energy. When the ball of energy arrived in front of Lin Feng, it couldn't hurt Lin Feng at all. It was broken by Lin Feng's punch. The river of fate that Lin Feng summoned also descended, and the terrifying power of fate directly blasted toward the foreign creature. Bang! The sound of a violent collision rang out. The power of destiny that descended from the long river of destiny directly sent the foreign creatures flying. Half of the foreign creature's body directly exploded. At this time, Lin Feng summoned the reincarnation plate and the gate of karma. The reincarnation plate, the gate of karma, and the power of the river of fate. They directly rushed toward the foreign creature, who was already severely injured. Why is it like this? Why is it like this? I'm not willing to die here. The foreign creature couldn't help but roar. He didn't want to die and wanted to continue living. However, now that the battle had reached this point, the foreign creature knew that everything could no longer be reversed. The combat strength that Lin Feng displayed was too powerful. The foreign creature's body burned fiercely. He was burning his life force to increase his combat strength, wanting to make a final struggle to the death. However, it was useless. When the power of the river of fate, the reincarnation plate, and the gate of karma blasted on the foreign creature's body, the foreign creature was directly suppressed, unable to struggle. Lin Feng rushed forward and slapped the foreign creature's head, directly shaking the foreign creature's soul until it scattered. Then, he chopped off the foreign creature's head. The source of the foreign creature was sealed by Lin Feng and kept away. Phew! Only then did Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief. The battle with the foreign creature was extremely dangerous. However, Lin Feng relied on many methods to defeat the foreign creature in the end. During this period of time, his cultivation had increased tremendously. Lin Feng had never been able to test what level his combat strength had reached through actual combat. Only until the battle with the foreign creature did Lin Feng know the approximate level of his combat strength. Lin Feng felt that his combat strength was roughly equivalent to the beginner stage of the God-Emperor realm. However, Lin Feng was already extremely satisfied. Moreover, he had obtained so many great Emperor's sources. After refining these great Emperor's sources, his realm would definitely increase greatly. When the time came, his combat strength would also increase greatly. Lin Feng then flew out of the Shifter Emperor's small world. When they saw Lin Feng flying out of the Shifter Emperor's small world with the foreign creature's head in his hand, the faces of the myriad races, the foreign races, and the cultivators of the other foreign forces changed abruptly. The cultivators of the 9 states raised their arms and cheered. Lin Feng, a boundary emperor realm cultivator, had actually managed to kill a great emperor realm expert, despite the difference in cultivation levels. This was simply too unbelievable. It was too shocking. Many people could not believe that this was real. Let's go. The celestial demon saint and the others looked extremely gloomy. They did not dare to stay and quickly fled out of the broken god island. On their side, 7 great emperors had fallen. Now, only 4 great emperors were left. Naturally, they could not defeat Lin Feng and the others. On Lin Feng's side, the Black Turtle Great Emperor no longer had the strength to fight. However, Lin Feng's side still had 5 great emperors who could participate in the battle. In addition, Lin Feng had many tricks up his sleeve. On their side, there were a total of 6 experts who could participate in this battle. We can't escape. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He directly activated the formation of the Broken God Island. Chapter 30:57. 7 of the 11 great emperors had fallen. The remaining 4 great emperors were the Sky Demon Saint of the Sky Demon Clan, Song Daozhong of the 9 Mysteries Great World, Nangong Jing of the Taishang Immortal Sect, and Heaven-Devouring Tiger of the Mystic Soul Great World. These 4 great emperors were all-powerful. However, they faced the combined attacks of Lin Feng, the Great Peng King, the Peacock King, the Fire Crow Daoist, the Stone Puppet King, and Han Tung. Moreover, Lin Feng controlled the Broken God Island's restrictions to attack. These 4 great emperors paled in comparison. Anyone who saw the current situation would tremble in fear. The current situation was far from good. Lin Feng wants to kill all 11 great emperors. The cultivators from the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces who were watching the show were shocked. The great emperor battle had ended, but the battle was clearly not over. Since Lin Feng had trapped the other 4 great emperors, it was clear that he wanted to kill them all. Lin Feng is so domineering. He wants to kill all these great emperors. How satisfying! After seeing this scene, the cultivators of 9 regions began to discuss excitedly. When the great emperor battle had just begun, the cultivators of the 9 states were extremely worried about the safety of Lin Feng and the others. After all, the evil Scorpion Lord's side had many experts. On the surface, they were much stronger than Lin Feng's side. Once the arena deathmatch began, everyone was naturally worried that Lin Feng and the others would be killed by the evil Scorpion Lord's great emperors. The myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces all felt that the evil Scorpion Lord's suggestion of an arena deathmatch was too correct. An arena deathmatch was enough to consign Lin Feng and the others to eternal damnation. However, the result was the complete opposite of what they had imagined. Kill these guys! Lin Feng shouted. He controlled the Broken God Island's restrictions. Dense formation runes intertwined, forming a terrifying killing formation that attacked the Sky Demon Saint and the other great emperors. Do you really want to kill them all? The Sky Demon Saint couldn't help but roar. Our Sky Demon clan has many experts. Don't get caught in your own trap. Lin Feng sneered. No matter how many experts we have, they won't be able to save you. In a battle of life and death, we will depend on our own abilities. If you die, you have only yourself to blame. How dare you be so arrogant? The Devamara Saint looked at Lin Feng icily. His eyes were filled with murder, because Lin Feng and the Sky Demon Saint and the Sky Demon Saint of Gods. Therefore, Saint Devamara had noticed Lin Feng a long time ago, but he hadn't paid much attention to him. Now, he's Dao Emperor King. The Sky Sex Emperor, he's Emperor Heaven Sex God, Sex Saint Sect King Race Emperor. He Han's First Heaven Sect. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Emperor God Sex Sect. Emperor Emperors Emperor. Emperor Emperors. Emperor Emperor Emperor. Emperors Emperor Emperor. Emperor Emperor Emperor. The Peacock King, Great Peng King, Stone Puppet King, and Han Tung also made their moves. The battle between the two sides was extremely intense. The Celestial Demon Saint and the other three great emperors roared furiously. They tried to break through. However, every time they were about to break out of the encirclement, they would be blocked by Lin Feng's array. Originally, these people wanted to use Su Tianqing's powerful control over the formation to deal with Lin Feng and the others. They wanted to use the absolute kill grand array of the Broken God Island to kill Lin Feng and his group. But who would have thought that Lin Feng's attainments in array formations were so profound to actually break the array formation that Su Tianqing awakened? Then, the evil Scorpion Lord and the others were caught in their own trap. If he hadn't chosen the Broken God Island, it was highly probable that the 11 great emperors would kill Lin Feng's group of 7. However, due to the formation of the Broken God Island, they had been unable to kill Lin Feng and the others. Therefore, they had proposed fighting in the arena to deal with Lin Feng and the others. However, in the arena battles, they had lost all 7 battles. They had lost 7 great emperors. In the end, the remaining 4 great emperors were in such a dangerous situation. Boom! Waves of terrifying auras filled the air. The battle was getting more and more intense. The combined attacks of Lin Feng and the 5 great emperors were extremely terrifying. The Empyrean Demon Saint, Song Daozhong, Nangong Jing, and the Heaven-Devouring Tiger all suffered different degrees of injuries. The great Peng King seized an opportunity and cut the Heaven-Devouring Tiger in half. The Heaven-Devouring Tiger fell. We're all cultivators of 9 states. Are you really going to kill us all? Nangong Jing couldn't help but roar. Damn, how shameless! Yi Fuqian murmured. The cultivators watching the battle outside couldn't help but roll their eyes when they heard Nangong Jing's words. The Supreme Immortal Sect was cooperating with the myriad races, the extraterritorial races, and other foreign cultivators. It was equivalent to betraying 9 states. Now, they had the nerve to say that they were all cultivators of 9 states. How shameless! Lin Feng sneered. You still know that you're a cultivator of 9 states. Boom, 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 boom. Even more ferocious attacks were launched at Nangong Jing. Right now, he only wanted to kill the traitor. The battle was getting more and more intense. Lin Feng and the Stone Puppet King worked together perfectly. Lin Feng suppressed Nangong Jing with a grand formation while the Stone Puppet King rushed forward and killed Nangong Jing. I'll be waiting for you in hell. Nangong Jing roared viciously before he died. Then Lin Feng and the Peacock King did the same thing. Lin Feng suppressed Song Daozhong with a grand formation while the Peacock King seized this rare opportunity to rush forward and kill Song Daozhong. In the end, only the Empyrean Demon Saint was left. Lin Feng, the Great Peng King, the Peacock King, the Fire Crow Taoist, the Stone Puppet King, and Han Tung surrounded the Empyrean Demon Saint. The Empyrean Demon Saint was Gongzong Nie's uncle. He was a great emperor from the primordial era. He was extremely powerful. However, under the combined attacks of Lin Feng and the others, the Empyrean Demon Saint was gradually losing ground. It was only a matter of time before he was killed. Just as Lin Feng and the others were about to kill the Empyrean Demon Saint, Lin Feng suddenly noticed terrifying runes surging out of the Empyrean Demon Saint's body. Not good. Retreat. Those are the runes of the Empyrean Demon Disintegration Technique. Lin Feng's expression changed drastically when he saw those runes. He could not help but shout. He had cultivated the Empyrean Demon Disintegration Technique before. It was a technique used by the Empyrean demons when they went all out. By disintegrating their bodies, they could instantly erupt with terrifying power. It was many times more powerful than self-detonation. Hearing Lin Feng's words, Everyone retreated. At that moment, the Empyrean demon saint used the Empyrean demon disintegration technique. He had originally wanted to use the Empyrean demon disintegration technique to kill Lin Feng and the others, but he did not expect Lin Feng to see through his plan. Lin Feng, you little bastard, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Just you wait, I won't let you off. The Empyrean demon saint roared viciously. Then he tore through the void and disappeared. Lin Feng could not help but laugh coldly. Once the Empyrean demon disintegration technique is used, your body will be destroyed and only your soul will be left. How much of your strength will you have left? The next time I see you, it won't be you killing me, but me killing you. Chapter 3058. I didn't think that the battle would end like this. These great emperors of the 9 continents are really strong. Even though there aren't many great emperors in the 9 continents, the fighting strength of these great emperors far surpasses the great emperors of other places. It wouldn't be a big deal if there was only one person like this, but almost every great emperor in the 9 continents is like this. Actually, there's nothing strange about it. 9 continents is the starting point of the universe. When the universe evolved, the original world didn't separate. 9 continents was the only place. As the worlds separated, the universe evolved into the 3 worlds and 6 paths. The cultivators of 9 continents are different from the cultivators of other worlds, but I don't know what the difference is. Even though there aren't many great emperors in 9 continents, it's said that once a cultivator of 9 continents becomes a great emperor, his fighting prowess far surpasses the great emperors of other worlds. There's such a thing? That's right. I also saw it in an ancient Taoist scripture. In fact, this matter has puzzled countless people. Thus, many forces want to occupy the 9 prefectures. Exploring the secrets of the 9 prefectures is also one of the goals of these forces. No wonder the great emperors of 9 continents are so terrifying. Look at Lin Feng. He hasn't become a great emperor yet, but he managed to kill a great emperor. That's unbelievable. Lin Feng is too heaven-defying. If we don't get rid of him, his fighting prowess will reach an unimaginable level when he becomes a great emperor. He's already become a great emperor. Killing him is easier said than done. We've lost too much this time. We lost 10 great emperors. The celestial demon saint had to use the celestial demon disintegration technique to escape. His body was destroyed. I don't know how long it'll take for him to recover. The 9 continents is more terrifying than we imagined. It won't be easy to deal with the 9 continents. Recently, many great emperors of our 3 forces have fallen. Even our 3 forces can't take it anymore. I wonder if the 5 primogenitors of the myriad races will take action. If they do, they can eliminate the great emperors of the 9 continents. The cultivators of the myriad races, the alien races, and the other forces all looked unsightly as they discussed the situation. These 3 forces had always been dominated by the myriad races, who asked the myriad races to be the strongest. On the other hand, the myriad races had 5 terrifying existences. The 5 primogenital level existences were said to be people from the primordial era. So many years had passed since the primordial era, but the 5 primogenitors were still alive. No one knew how powerful these 5 people were. Of course, the 5 primogenitors of the myriad races wouldn't casually come out and take action, because they were too old. Cultivating without moving would allow them to live longer. Every time they attacked, their life force would be depleted. It was like a horse carriage. As it continued to be used, its lifespan would become shorter and shorter. In fact, it was the same for cultivators. Every time they attacked, they would consume a large amount of their life force. Perhaps in the near future, There will be another great emperor in the 9 regions. That's right, Lin Feng's day of becoming an emperor might not be far away. Thanks to Lin Feng, the great emperors of the continent of the 9 states are now connected. If Lin Feng becomes a great emperor, it'll be an exciting thing for the continent of the 9 states, said Lin Feng. The cultivators of the 9 prefectures began to discuss among themselves. They were all very excited. They had witnessed the peak battle that Lin Feng and the others had created. They knew that if news of this battle spread, it would definitely cause a storm. When the time came, not only would it shock the entire 9 prefectures, news of this would even spread to the outer realms. The names of Lin Feng's group of 7, who had participated in the great emperor battle today, would definitely shake the world. Boom! At that moment, a terrifying aura surged out from the depths of Broken God Island. It was an aura that suppressed the world. It was simply too tyrannical. Lin Feng and the others had planned to leave, but after sensing that terrifying aura, they couldn't help but stop and look toward the depths of Broken God Island. That terrifying aura had appeared suddenly and disappeared just as suddenly. It had only appeared for a split second before vanishing without a trace. What a terrifying aura! I heard that Broken God Island is a forbidden zone in the Western Sea. There are some shocking secrets hidden there. Seniors, why don't we work together to explore it? Lin Feng couldn't help but look at the great emperors. All right, that's what I was thinking. The Stone Puppet King nodded. Then let's go in and see what secrets are hidden there. The Fire Crow Taoist said. Everyone quickly reached a consensus on the matter of exploring the Broken Island, following which the group flew toward the depths of Broken God Island. Look, they're entering Broken God Island. I really hope those guys die on Broken God Island. The cultivators from the various races, outer realms, and other factions began to curse Lin Feng and the others when they saw them enter Broken God Island. The fluctuations that were released from Broken God Island earlier were extremely terrifying and strange. I wonder what's going on there now. Broken God Island is known as a forbidden zone. It's too dangerous. They shouldn't have taken the risk to enter Broken God Island. Lin Feng and the 5 great emperors are so powerful. There shouldn't be any problems if they work together to explore Broken God Island. Even if they do encounter danger with their strength, it shouldn't be difficult for them to escape. The cultivators of the 9 provinces began to discuss. By this time, Lin Feng and the others had already entered the central region of Broken God Island. Previously, they were in the outer region of Broken God Island. As soon as they entered the central region, a cold and terrifying aura enveloped them. It was a terrible feeling. Lin Feng felt like he was being watched by something terrifying. This place is very scary. There are some terrifying creatures hibernating here, and they're currently watching us. If it weren't for the fact that we have so many people, those creatures would have already attacked us. The Stone Puppet King said. His senses were very strong. After all, he was an existence who had lived 2 lives. Lin Feng said, there are many unimaginable terrifying creatures hibernating in these forbidden zones. However, we don't need to pay attention to them. They're very intelligent, and they know how strong we are. They won't easily attack us. The great emperors nodded. Then, everyone carefully entered the depths of Broken God Island. In the depths of Broken God Island, they saw a mountain range. It was about 3,000 to 4,000 meters long, spiraling continuously. It's a dragon skeleton. Lin Feng looked at the huge mountain range in shock. The mountain range was filled with rocks and dense trees. It didn't look much different from an ordinary mountain range. However, upon closer inspection, one could still vaguely recognize it. The huge, winding mountain ridge was actually the skeleton of a huge dragon. Chapter 3059. This should be the skeleton of an eastern dragon, right? The Flaming Crow Taoist could not help but say he was a great emperor of the demonic race and was very knowledgeable. It was not surprising that he could recognize the skeleton of an Eastern dragon. The Eastern dragon was an extremely noble existence among the dragon race. Lin Feng had not seen much of the Eastern dragon over the years. That was because the Eastern dragon was an extremely rare race, and their numbers were even rarer now. In the past, when the Eastern dragon race was at its peak, there were only 7 or 8 Eastern dragons at a time. Pure-blooded Eastern dragons were extremely terrifying creatures. It was said that their combat prowess was comparable to immortals. From this, one could see how terrifying pure-blooded Eastern dragons were. Now, the skeleton of an Eastern dragon had actually appeared here. Moreover, the skeleton had long been petrified and turned into a winding mountain range. It was unknown how long it had been dead. When did this Eastern dragon god die here? Or did it not die here? Was it moved here by someone else? Lin Feng could not help but say he thought of 2 possibilities, but it was difficult to judge which one was more likely. The Stone Puppet King said, "It should have been killed by someone. I can also sense another aura that has yet to dissipate from the skeleton. That aura is very frightening, and it is emitted from the Eastern dragon's head. Someone must have pierced through its head, causing its soul to scatter. That's how it died." This was a shocking discovery that was enough to shock anyone. An Eastern divine dragon was such a terrifying existence. Yet someone had actually scattered its soul and died a tragic death. No one knew what happened back then. That battle back then must have been terrifying. It was enough to shock the world. But time passed. Many things could no longer be explored. For future generations, it was destined to be an unsolvable mystery. I wonder if there are any other treasures in this huge skeleton? Lin Feng could not help but ponder. He thought of another possibility and wanted to explore it more carefully. Thus, Lin Feng stepped forward and turned the Eastern dragon's skeleton over. He searched carefully, but he didn't find anything special. There was not even a Dao bone. The Dao bone disappeared. Was it destroyed by time, or was it taken away by someone else? Lin Feng couldn't help but ponder. He felt that everything was possible. The Peacock King said, "It seems that the value of this skeleton is not that great." The group continued to head deeper into the island. Finally, they arrived at the deepest part of Broken God Island. There was a huge cliff here. It was pitch black at the bottom of the cliff. Lin Feng and the others didn't rashly enter the cliff because there was an unimaginably terrifying aura coming from the cliff. This was the core area of Broken God Island. There must be some shocking secret hidden here. However, Lin Feng did not know what the secret was. This place was very shocking, causing people to feel their hair stand on end. The Stone Puppet King took out a spirit insect he had been cultivating. The spirit insect flew toward the cliff. Then, as if it had lost all support, the spirit insect quickly fell into the inner part of the cliff. Flight restriction, everyone frowned. There were many dangerous places. They were all worlds where flying was prohibited, and no one could enter them as they wished. Once one entered, they would often encounter a calamity. It was extremely dangerous. And this cliff was obviously one of those places. "Look, there's something down there." Lin Feng pointed at the bottom of the cliff. In the darkness, he saw something, but he couldn't see it clearly. The rest of the people also looked down the cliff. Soon, they were shocked. They also saw what was below the cliff. To be more precise, that thing was floating in the middle and lower area of the cliff. This shocked Lin Feng and the others. That thing was actually floating in the middle of a cliff where flying was prohibited. It was truly unbelievable. "I can't see what it is." Han Ting couldn't help but frown. With their strength, even with night vision, They should have been able to see up to 100 miles away. However, this cliff was different. It was very strange, and they couldn't see what was at the bottom of the cliff. They could only see a rough outline. Lin Feng opened the heavenly demon snake eye. In an instant, he saw through layers of darkness. Then, he saw the thing floating in the middle of the cliff. It was a small island. It was really just a small island. It was about half an acre in size. This might be the island within the island that many people usually talked about. However, this island within the island was a little strange. There was no water around it. Instead, it was floating in the middle of a cliff. The island was covered with green grass. In the middle of the island, there was an ancient tree. The ancient tree wasn't particularly tall. It was only about 3 meters tall. However, the ancient tree was incomparably strong. The trunk of the ancient tree was like a curved dragon. The bark of the tree was angry. It was like pieces of dragon scales. Lin Feng's gaze immediately landed below the ancient tree. Under the ancient tree, there was a huge golden cauldron. The cauldron was covered with a lid. Lin Feng was extremely shocked. What was the origin of the golden cauldron? What was inside the golden cauldron? What did you see? Peacock King asked. Everyone looked at Lin Feng. Everyone was very curious about what they had seen. Lin Feng said, I saw a small island floating in the middle of the cliff. There was an ancient tree growing in the middle of the island. Under the ancient tree was a huge golden cauldron. I just don't know the origin of the golden cauldron. Island, ancient tree, golden cauldron, Great Peng King, and the others couldn't help but be puzzled. Obviously, everything on the island was very complicated. There was definitely a big secret hidden in it. Why don't we go down and take a look? Fire Crow Daoist narrowed his eyes and said, since they were already here, Fire Crow Daoist wanted to go down and explore. Although we can't fly, we can climb down. Lin Feng said. The other great emperors were tempted. Soon, everyone reached an agreement. Then, the 6 of them grabbed onto the rocks above the cliff and went down. Originally, Lin Feng and the others were worried that there would be some danger. However, they didn't expect that when they started diving and reached the island in the middle of the cliff, there would be no danger. There wasn't any danger at all. However, just as Lin Feng and the others were about to reach the island, a terrifying aura surged out from below. Then, a large amount of blood mist rolled. Seeing this, Lin Feng and the others' expressions changed abruptly. Hurry up and reach the island. Fire Crow Daoist shouted. Everyone jumped onto the island. Just as they jumped onto the island, Chapter 3060, when Lin Feng and the others saw that pair of gigantic blood-red eyes, they couldn't help but feel terrified. Earlier on, the Broken God Island had emitted such powerful energy waves. Was this the energy waves emitted by this existence? Was this terrifying existence living on the Broken God Island? What kind of creature was it? What was its background? Lin Feng and the rest had no idea, but they knew that this existence was absolutely terrifying. The aura it emitted was so terrifying that it made their souls tremble. It was hard to imagine how long this existence had lived, trespassing into the forbidden grounds. Are you here to die? The terrifying existence stared coldly at Lin Feng and the rest. Cough, cough. We didn't trespass into this place. We came here by mistake. It's all a misunderstanding, the Flaming Crow Daoist said with an apologetic smile. However, it was clear that the terrifying existence in front of them did not want to hear any explanation from the Flaming Crow Daoist. Those sinister and terrifying eyes were filled with a deep sense of greed when they looked at the group of people. It seemed like this terrifying existence was treating Lin Feng and the rest as its food. Lowly ants you have committed a capital offense. No one in this world can save your lives. The terrifying existence said coldly, Lin Feng, and the rest couldn't see clearly what kind of existence it was. They could only see the pair of demonic blood-red eyes. Lin Feng tried to use the heavenly demon snake eye to see the true body of this existence, but there was an invisible force blocking everything. He couldn't see what the true body of this existence was, but Lin Feng knew that this was definitely an invincible existence. It had a combat strength that made people despair. Lin Feng and the rest were strong, but there was still a big gap between them and this ancient existence. Lin Feng and the rest knew that they were in big trouble and tried to think of a way to escape. Swoosh, swoosh. Two terrifying beams of light shot out from the pair of terrifying blood-red eyes. Those two beams of light pierced through the void and swept towards Lin Feng and the rest. Lin Feng and the rest were horrified when they felt the power of those two beams of light. This terrifying existence's attack was too terrifying. It was impossible to resist. What made them happy was that when the terrifying creature's attack was about to reach them, it was already too late. An energy barrier appeared on the island they were on, and the energy barrier protected them within. Clang! Clang! Along with the two violent collisions, there was the sound of two fierce collisions. When the two beams of light hit the energy barrier, they were blocked by the energy barrier. After seeing this scene, Lin Feng and the rest could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Humph! The terrifying existence was furious and snorted coldly. Lin Feng looked at the terrifying existence and said, "My lord, we have no enmity between us. There is nothing we can't solve. We didn't mean to enter this place by mistake. How about this? We will leave you many natural treasures, and you will let us leave. How about this?" The terrifying existence said coldly, "You are dreaming if you think you can leave this place. Do you think that I won't be able to eat you if you hide on this island?" After the terrifying creature's voice fell, a loud rumbling sound came from the bottom of the cliff. Next, Lin Feng saw a tail as thick as a mountain whipping towards the island. The tail was a fiery red tail that was densely covered in scales. Every scale emitted a scorching fire tribute energy. Lin Feng wondered what kind of monster it was to have such a huge body. Bang! The sound of a violent collision could be heard. The tail, as thick as a mountain, whipped the island where Lin Feng and the rest were. Lin Feng and the others were astonished by the island's defensive power. This was because the island had blocked the attack of that terrifying creature. Ha 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 ha, no matter how powerful you are, you can't eat us if you can't break through the island's defenses. Lin Feng couldn't help but laugh loudly. Hearing Lin Feng's demonic laughter, the terrifying existence became extremely irritable. It felt that Lin Feng's laughter was filled with mockery and mockery. "Lowly ant, how dare you jump around before me? I won't just eat you later. I will torture you so that you will kneel before me and beg for mercy in endless pain." The terrifying existence glared at Lin Feng fiercely. Bang, bang, bang. Following which, its gigantic tail, which was as thick as a mountain, continued to smash towards the small island. One attack after another. It was immensely powerful. The island was constantly trembling from the impact, but the defensive light shield was still intact. This island was really extraordinary. Lin Feng ignored the terrifying existence's threats. He, the great Peng King, and the rest walked towards the golden cauldron at the center of the island. "Lowly ant, how dare you ignore me?" That terrifying creature was so angry that it could overflow the heavens. A moment before, he had been arrogant, but Lin Feng had ignored him. What could be more humiliating than that? Lin Feng ignored the terrifying existence. He, the great Peng King, and the rest arrived beside the golden cauldron. The cauldron had 3 legs and 2 handles, and its surface was covered in runes. Lin Feng didn't recognize these runes. These are very ancient runes. Do any of you recognize them? The Peacock King asked. Everyone shook their heads. Even the Stone Puppet King shook his head. Even an ancient existence like the Stone Puppet King didn't recognize the runes on the cauldron. Lin Feng transmitted his voice to the Demon Lord. He asked the Demon Lord if the Demon Lord recognized the runes on the golden cauldron. However, the Demon Lord didn't recognize them either. Lin Feng looked at the terrifying existence that was attacking the island. Hey, big guy, can I ask you something? Lin Feng asked. Big guy? When the terrifying spirit outside heard what Lin Feng had just said, he was furious and stamped his feet in anger. An ant dared to call itself a noble, big guy? The terrifying existence suddenly had the urge to bite Lin Feng to death. His eyes looked like they were about to spit fire. He was looking at Lin Feng furiously. I'm asking you a question. Why aren't you answering? Are you so tired that you can't speak? Lin Feng asked. Chapter 30:61. The Great Peng King, and the others could not help but feel a sense of admiration for Lin Feng. In the face of such a dangerous creature, perhaps only Lin Feng had the time and energy to make fun of it. The reason Lin Feng could rise so quickly in such a short period of time was not only because of his bloodline, talent, and fortuitous encounters. In the eyes of the Great Peng King and the others, Lin Feng's mental state played a crucial role in his rise. Many talented cultivators failed to mature in the end. The problem was usually the change in one's mental state when faced with various situations. One thing that Lin Feng was better than others was that no matter how dangerous the situation was, he would always be optimistic. Despicable ant, do you know that you have already committed a capital offense? The terrifying being looked at Lin Feng coldly. Lin Feng pursed his lips. You've already said that once. Can you not repeat it again? You. The terrifying being was rendered speechless by Lin Feng. Lin Feng then asked, Do you know the origin of that golden cauldron? The terrifying being replied, I do. Of course I do. No one knows the origin of that item better than me. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Hurry up and tell us. The terrifying being sneered. If you want to know, kneel down and beg me. I might be able to tell you. Previously, this fellow had been infuriated by Lin Feng. Now, it was obviously trying to get back at Lin Feng. Lin Feng said indifferently, If you don't want to tell me, then don't. Yours truly doesn't want to know either. Originally, the terrifying being wanted to see Lin Feng make a fool of himself. He hadn't thought that Lin Feng would suddenly turn his head. He didn't want to know the answer to his question. This made the terrifying creature feel as if it had punched cotton. At this moment, the terrifying being was gnashing its teeth in anger. Lin Feng, the Great Peng King, and the others circled around the cauldron, observing it carefully. Taoist Flaming Crow said, Why don't we open the cauldron and see what's inside? Don't open it no matter what. Hearing that the Fire Crow Taoist was about to open the cauldron, the terrifying creature cried out in alarm, and a look of horror flashed across its eyes. Lin Feng and the others were shocked. This terrifying being was so powerful, yet it was revealing such a look of horror. This was unbelievable. Just what was inside? What was it that made this foreign being reveal such a look of horror? Lin Feng and the others were extremely curious. You think we won't open it just because you don't want us to? Why should we listen to you? We're going to open this cauldron. Lin Feng said. The terrifying being suddenly roared, Lunatic! Lunatic! You lunatic! Do you know what's inside? If you dare to open the cauldron, all of you will die. If you die, then so be it. You're just a bunch of lowly beings, but don't drag me down with you. The terrifying being lost its composure. with its powerful strength, it shouldn't have such an expression at all. Thus, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel that this terrifying being's behavior was extremely strange. Lin Feng said, "Tell us what's inside, and we'll consider whether to open the cauldron or not. Now, we won't open it just because you said so. Do you think we're so easily fooled?" The terrifying being said viciously, "Who's fooling you? I'm telling the truth." "Then tell us where this cauldron came from and what's inside. Otherwise, we'll open it right now." Lin Feng said again. The terrifying being's expression was extremely gloomy. In the end, it gritted its teeth and said, "Fine, there's no harm in telling you." Lin Feng and the others listened attentively. This cauldron is called the Golden World Destruction Cauldron. It's an item left behind from the previous epoch. What? An item left behind from the previous epoch? Lin Feng couldn't help but cry out in shock. His eyes were fixed on the cauldron, unable to shift away. This cauldron was too extraordinary. It actually had such an origin. It was truly unbelievable. The cauldron was still intact even after the destruction of the previous epoch. One could see just how extraordinary this cauldron was. Don't even think about touching this cauldron. It's an extremely evil cauldron. Anyone who dares to touch it will die a miserable death. The terrifying being said with a cold smile. "Do you think we'll believe you if you say that?" Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer. "You have to believe it even if you don't want to. This concerns all of our safety." The terrifying being continued, "I don't know what kind of existence created the Golden World Destruction Cauldron, but I do know one thing. This cauldron is said to be able to bury an epoch." Bury an epoch? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. This statement was too exaggerated. He found it hard to believe. "What? You don't believe me?" the terrifying being asked Lin Feng and the others. "Of course not," Lin Feng and the others said in unison. "When I first heard about this, I was the same as all of you. I didn't believe it either. It sounded too unbelievable. How could there be such a terrifying cauldron in this world?" However, something happened later. "What happened?" Lin Feng asked curiously. The terrifying creature said, "Before we talk about this matter, we must first talk about an earth-shattering character." Lin Feng asked, "Oh, an earth-shattering figure? Who is it?" "It's really an ancient existence. In the past, he defeated Pangu, Nuwa, and other experts. He temporarily controlled the Golden Cauldron." The terrifying being said. Lin Feng and the others were shocked. Who was this person? He was actually so powerful that he could defeat Pangu, Nuwa, and other experts. One had to know that Pangu, Nuwa, and the others were the first group of sentient life forms. They were incomparably terrifying and powerful, yet they couldn't contend against that existence. From this, one could see how terrifying that existence's battle prowess was. Was that existence also part of the first group of sentient life forms? Lin Feng asked curiously. That's right. He was also part of the first group of sentient life forms. His name is Guang Yuan. The terrifying being said. Guang Yuan. Lin Feng and the others couldn't help but be shocked. Lin Feng had actually heard the name Guang Yuan many times, but he didn't know much about this person. Even in the many Taoist scriptures, there were no records of Guang Yuan. Even the classic of Mountains and Seas, which was full of myths and legends, only had a simple introduction to Guang Yuan. Guang Yuan, a sentient life form. He was born at the same time as Nuwa, Pangu, and the others. Chapter 3062. Guang Yuan is one of the most ancient experts of this epoch. He's exceptionally terrifying, but there are no more specific records about him. Lin Feng said, Guang Yuan is much more terrifying than you can imagine. Do you know how Guang Yuan was born? How was it born? Lin Feng and the others curiously looked at the terrifying creature. Guang Yuan was too mysterious, shrouded in countless mysterious colors. The later generations had limited understanding of him. Among experts on the same level as Nuwa and Pangu, Guang Yuan should be one of the most mysterious experts. He was even more mysterious than the Grand Supreme. At the very least, the Grand Supreme had a Tao legacy. Guang Yuan had nothing left behind. Everything about him had been buried by the passage of time. No one knew what had happened in the past. No one knew how Guang Yuan had disappeared. As for Guang Yuan's Tao legacy, treasures, and other things, they had all disappeared. When the heavenly Tao was born, Guang Yuan was born. In other words, Guang Yuan was born together with the heavenly Tao. The terrifying creature said, "Born together with the heavenly Tao." Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Aren't the heavenly Tao created by experts? The terrifying creature said. How is that possible? The heavenly Tao created by experts are the 3,000 Grand Taos. Many people regard the 3,000 Grand Taos as the heavenly Tao, but that's wrong. Oh, what do you mean? Lin Feng asked, puzzled. The great Peng King and the others also looked at the terrifying creature in astonishment. There was a saying that the 3,000 Grand Taos were the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. Therefore, the 3,000 Grand Taos themselves were the heavenly Tao. The terrifying creature said, the 3,000 Grand Taos can only be called minor heavenly Taos. These are minor heavenly Taos created by powerful cultivators based on the true heavenly Taos. The minor heavenly Taos have evolved into 3,000 divine abilities, and each of these 3,000 divine abilities has their own extraordinary aspects. Minor heavenly Tao. Lin Feng and the others were shocked. This was the first time they had heard of such a thing. Then what is the great heavenly Tao? Peacock King asked. The great heavenly way is the real heavenly way. It controls the 5 decays of celestials and the change of eras. The things that the great heavenly way controls are too shocking. The minor heavenly way controls the reversal of night, the changes of the 4 seasons, and the wind and rain. It's just like the structure of a secular world. The emperor rules a country, and the emperor's status is supreme. Naturally, the things that the emperor handles are the most important things. As for the relatively small things, they are naturally handled by the ministers below them. I see. Everyone nodded, since they understood the difference between the grand and minor heavenly Taos. Guang Yuan was born along with the heavenly Tao and wielded unimaginable power. This was definitely an existence capable of instilling fear in others. His battle prowess was truly too great. Even during the era when the first generation of sentient existences ruled the myriad worlds, Guang Yuan was still a top existence. The terrifying being continued. He seemed to hold Guang Yuan in high esteem and had always been praising Guang Yuan's strength and extraordinariness. Why is Guang Yuan's reputation far inferior to other existences? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. It's because Guang Yuan was too low-key. From the moment he appeared until his disappearance, he was incomparably low-key. Moreover, the existences of that era all knew that Guang Yuan was born along with the heavenly Tao, so no one dared to provoke him. The terrifying being explained. Said Lin Feng, "You mentioned Guang Yuan. Could it be that the cauldron has something to do with Guang Yuan?" Yes, this cauldron was obtained by Guang Yuan in the past. At that time, Guang Yuan also heard about the strangeness of this cauldron, but he didn't take it to heart, because Guang Yuan was truly too powerful. A terrifying existence like him indeed didn't need to care about a cauldron. The terrifying being couldn't help but sigh with emotion. What happened after that? Lin Feng asked curiously. When you underestimate something, there will often be some unexpected changes that will occur. These changes can very likely lead to unbearable consequences. Guang Yuan underestimated this cauldron, and in the end, he opened it. The terrifying being explained. What happened next? What happened next? Lin Feng asked. There's nothing else. Guang Yuan's life ended just like that. The terrifying being said. What? Guang Yuan died. After opening the cauldron, Guang Yuan died. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. The great Peng King and the others also had expressions of disbelief. A powerful existence like Guang Yuan had actually died because of this cauldron. It sounded too inconceivable. Anyone who heard such a thing would find it unbelievable. They probably wouldn't believe that this was real. What? You don't believe it? But it's true because I saw it all back then. The terrifying being said. You saw it all? What the hell? What era are you from? Lin Feng immediately exclaimed. Guang Yuan had been dead for who knew how many tens of thousands of years, but this foreign being had actually witnessed Guang Yuan's death, and was still alive. This greatly shocked Lin Feng. How long the years have passed. The terrifying being sighed. Could you be a cursed being? The fire crow Taoist couldn't help but ask. He had come into contact with cursed beings who had extremely long lifespans. Some of them even had an indestructible lifespan. A cursed being? The terrifying being's eyes turned extremely cold when it heard this. Suddenly it let out an extremely miserable shriek. Its incomparably thick tail smashed into the cliffs on both sides. Its huge head was smashed into the cliffs. He kept crashing into the cliffs on both sides, not knowing what was going on. In an instant, this terrifying creature seemed to be suffering from endless pain and torment. The pain was so intense that it wanted to die. It was a fate worse than death. What's going on? Lin Feng and the others were all dumbfounded. The scene before them was simply too sudden. The incomparably huge head smashed into the bottom of the cliff. One could vaguely see the terrifying being's body twitching violently. It had endured unimaginable pain. That kind of pain would cause many people to collapse, but this terrifying being had persevered. Finally, the pain dissipated. Chapter 3063. What happened to you just now? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. Just now, I experienced a pain that none of you will ever understand. The terrifying creature said. The great Peng King said, I heard that there are two types of curses. The cursed creatures will gradually lose themselves, and the pain they suffer will be lighter. The other type of cursed creatures, they are unwilling to lose themselves, so they will suffer thousands of times more pain. This was the first time Lin Feng had heard of such a thing. He suddenly remembered the cursed fire crow. He had forgotten everything. This should be the first situation that the great Peng King mentioned. Let's go. Leave this place. Don't open this cauldron. I will forget that you have been here. You better forget that you have been here. Otherwise, something strange might happen. The terrifying being said in a meaningful tone. It didn't say what strange things would happen, but it would definitely be extremely terrifying. All right, let's go. Everyone looked at each other and decided to leave this place. Although Lin Feng really wanted to open the cauldron to see what was inside and what secrets it hid, he didn't have the strength to do so. But he knew, right now, their strength wasn't enough to open this cauldron. Perhaps it would really be like what the terrifying creature said. If they really opened the cauldron, something terrifying would happen, and all of them might lose their lives. Before leaving, Lin Feng reached out and touched the cauldron, then said, When I have enough strength in the future, I will definitely come back. At that time, I will open you and see what secrets you are hiding. Following which, Lin Feng, the great Peng King, and the others left. This terrifying creature was quite trustworthy. After agreeing to let Lin Feng and the others leave, It really didn't do anything to them. After coming up from the cliff, everyone kept this matter a secret and didn't mention it again. However, Lin Feng was very curious. Where did this terrifying creature come from? It was so powerful. Who could curse it? To turn it into a cursed creature. Something unknown must have happened back then. Lin Feng was very interested in this matter, but he did not ask this terrifying creature. This was because Lin Feng knew that even if he were to ask this terrifying creature, he would not be able to tell the truth. This terrifying creature would definitely not tell him about it. He's out. I wonder if they obtained any fortuitous encounters from the depths of Broken God Island. Look at their faces. They don't look too good. I'm guessing that they probably didn't get anything. Many of the cultivators there had yet to leave. When they saw Lin Feng and the others emerge, they could not stop themselves from discussing the matter. Lin Feng's group didn't pay any attention to the cultivators who were watching the show. They quickly left Broken God Island. The news of the battle on the Broken God Island quickly spread throughout the 9 regions. In this battle, the famous Holy Scorpion Evil Lord, Su Tianxing, Shen Yueya, Sikong Xian, and other experts were all killed. It could be said that this caused a huge uproar. These experts weren't ordinary great emperors. They were both extremely powerful great emperors, but they had died in the hands of the 9 great emperors. Furthermore, the 9 supreme emperors had not been emperors for a long time. The 9 great emperors have a natural advantage. Some of the experts from the various factions side. This was something that they couldn't compare to the 9 regions. And it was also something that they were extremely puzzled about. They couldn't understand why the 9 regions' great emperors were so much stronger than other great emperors of the same realm. In fact, even the great emperors of the 9 regions didn't quite understand the reason behind this. This was because this matter was one of the greatest secrets of the 9 regions. Of course, the most unbelievable part of the battle was the battle between Lin Feng and the foreign creatures. Lin Feng was just a young human cultivator. Furthermore, Lin Feng was only in the Boundary Emperor realm. However, he had managed to kill a great emperor-level existence. This was too unbelievable. This matter caused a huge commotion because Lin Feng's status in the 9 regions was very special. Lin Feng's concept of homeland was too heavy. Therefore, when Lin Feng returned to the Tianwu continent, he had even ordered a massacre of the 10,000 races, foreign races, and other cultivators who had invaded the Tianwu continent. The Tianwu continent was also a part of the 9 regions' great world. Lin Feng was a cultivator of the 9 regions. Lin Feng had always been fighting against the 10,000 races, foreign races, and other cultivators. All these years, it was unknown how many experts from these 3 factions had died in Lin Feng's hands. Now, the 10,000 races, foreign races, and other cultivators wanted nothing more than to cut Lin Feng into pieces. Secondly, there was another very important matter. Lin Feng had a good relationship with many top experts. For example, Lin Feng had a good relationship with several great emperors of the demon race. He also had a deep relationship with the Stone Puppet King. In addition, he also had a good relationship with the Old Emperor. And behind Lin Feng stood Lord Turtle. Lin Feng also had a relationship with the Red World Fairy. Many people discovered that this emperor battle was actually a few great emperors that Lin Feng had invited. It was a very terrifying thing to have some great emperors who weren't familiar with each other join forces. If these great emperors fought on their own, no matter how strong they were, so what? If these great emperors joined forces, the meaning would be completely different. On this day, some crystal balls imprinted with the images of the emperor battle began to appear in the major cities of the 9 regions. The images on the crystal balls were very blurry, and it was impossible to see the specific appearance of the cultivators. But from their clothes, it was possible to tell who was fighting. Countless people were buying these crystal balls. Who dares to say that the cultivators of the 9 regions are lowly? The great emperors of the 9 regions crossed a large realm to kill these foreign beings, the 10,000 races, foreign worlds, and other great emperors of foreign forces. Are those great emperors who were killed the so-called noble bloodline? How laughable! Especially Lin Feng, who is only a quasi-emperor, actually crossed a large realm to kill a great emperor. It's really shocking, like a legend. Who dares to say that the bloodline of the human race is lowly? I think it's these 10,000 races, foreign races, and other cultivators of foreign forces whose bloodlines are lowly. The cultivators of the 9 regions were discussing animatedly, incomparably excited. Previously, they had been humiliated by the 10,000 races, foreign races, and other cultivators of foreign forces. But they were powerless to refute, because even though there was a genius like Lin Feng, there were still too few geniuses in the 9 regions. Now that the results of the emperor battle were out, the cultivators of the 9 regions all felt elated. The cultivators of the 9 regions no longer felt that their bloodlines were inferior to those of the 10,000 races, foreign races, and other cultivators of foreign forces, because the emperor battle was enough to prove everything. Chapter 3064. Lin Feng obtained 9 great emperors' sources. These 9 great emperors' sources were incomparably precious and could directly increase his battle strength. Lin Feng began to refine these great emperors' sources. Time flowed like water. With the rapid passage of time, the precious great emperor's sources were gradually refined by Lin Feng. Lin Feng's cultivation also began to greatly increase. First, Lin Feng's soul power level. Originally, Lin Feng's soul power level stopped at the 45th step. But now, his soul strength had risen to the level of the 70th step. It increased by a total of 25 levels. As for Lin Feng's cultivation level, it increased from the 18th step to the 50th step. During this seclusion, his cultivation level had increased by 32 stone steps. This made Lin Feng very satisfied. After all, it was very difficult for him to break through. Moreover, as his cultivation level increased, each breakthrough would become more difficult. However, Lin Feng's cultivation level had increased by so much. It was indeed very exciting. After refining all the great emperor's sources and sensing his cultivation level, Lin Feng was very happy. He didn't expect his cultivation level to increase so quickly. Then, he continued his seclusion. Even though Lin Feng's cultivation level had increased, he was worried that his foundation wouldn't be stable and that it would affect his future cultivation. Therefore, he decided to meditate in seclusion to improve his cultivation level. Lin Feng went into seclusion for 6 years. He spent 6 years polishing his cultivation level and finally polished it until it was as smooth as a pearl. Lin Feng no longer had to worry about his foundation being unstable. Then, Lin Feng left the beast race's sacred land and returned to the beast race's ancestral land. Because the beast race's sacred land had the power of time laws, 6 years in the sacred land was only 2 months in the outside world. 2 months was too short. When Lin Feng came out of seclusion, the aftermath of the emperor battle had yet to disperse. The outside world was still abuzz with discussions about this peak emperor battle. After Lin Feng came out of seclusion, everyone held a celebratory feast for Lin Feng. Lin Feng did not stay in the demon clan's ancestral land for too long. He planned to make a trip to the dragon sect and destroy the evil dragon palace along the way. The evil dragon palace had sided with the holy scorpion evil lord. Lin Feng could no longer tolerate the evil dragon palace. Little Rock King, Fire Qilin, Feng Yaorao, Princess Shui Yao Little Moon, and the others planned to follow Lin Feng to the Dragon Gate. They had been staying in the ancestral land of the demon race for a long time and were very bored, so they wanted to go out and look around. Lin Feng's group set off. They boarded the Xianyuan ancient starry sky ship and traveled through time to the Dragon Gate, ancient desolate sea region, Dragon Gate. Lin Feng returned. The army assembled. Warships set off one after another, heading towards the evil Dragon Sea area controlled by the evil Dragon Palace. The Dragon Sect cultivators were all dragons. Each of the Dragon Gate cultivators was equipped with at least 2 powerful divine artifacts. Some veteran Dragon Sect cultivators were even equipped with 3 or 4 powerful divine artifacts. Everyone was wearing armor of the divine artifact level. This was the elite army of the Dragon Sect. There were a total of 800,000 people. They were fully armed. Their combat strength was extremely terrifying. The 800,000 troops united and pointed their spears at the enemy. When their strength fused together, the lethality caused was unimaginable. Now, these Dragon Sect cultivators were looking at the main ship, Xianyuan, with burning gazes. These Dragon Sect cultivators had naturally heard about the Emperor battle that happened on the Broken God Island in the West Ocean. The Dragon Sect master killed a great emperor with his quasi-emperor cultivation. It was like a legend, simply shocking. Countless Dragon Sect cultivators were proud of it. Now that Lin Feng had returned, every Dragon Sect cultivator was incomparably proud. What a magnificent sight! Fire Qilin, Little Rock King, Feng Yaorao, Princess Shui Yao Little Moon, and the others couldn't help but sigh. What they admired the most about Lin Feng wasn't that Lin Feng had raised his cultivation to the point where he could kill a great emperor in a short period of time. Instead, it was Lin Feng's special charm, or it could be called commanding power or cohesive force. Whether it was the Tianwu continent or the 9 regions, there were so many cultivators who were willing to sell their lives for Lin Feng. Moreover, Lin Feng was able to establish a good relationship with so many powerful existences. Thus, he was able to unite all parties. For example, during the Emperor battle, Lin Feng united all the great emperors. It was as if Lin Feng had been born with that kind of strength. Standing next to him gave people a feeling of trust they had never felt before. For the world of cultivators where everyone was scheming against each other, this was extremely precious. Perhaps it was precisely because of this feeling that everyone was willing to sell their lives for Lin Feng. Lin Feng led the Dragon Sect's elite army and was simply invincible. They swept through the evil Dragon Palace one after another and destroyed the devil prison built by the evil Dragon Palace. Many experts who were imprisoned in the devil prison also met with mishaps. Following the destruction of the first evil Dragon Palace, the first evil dragon was killed. It indicated that the evil Dragon Palace, which had ruled the evil Dragon Sea area for hundreds of thousands of years, was completely destroyed. The evil Dragon Sea area was also under the rule of the Dragon Sect by Lin Feng. The evil Dragon Palace wasn't considered a top force now, so Lin Feng's destruction of the evil Dragon Palace didn't cause too much of a commotion. Now, the 9 regions seemed to have fallen into a very strange silence. The myriad races, the extraterritorial races, and other foreign forces had suffered such heavy losses in the Emperor battle, but the experts of these 3 forces actually didn't make any moves. Dragon Sect, at the peak of mountain gazing, Lin Feng looked at the boundless sea area in the distance. His expression was very grave because Lin Feng felt an impending storm. The myriad races, the extraterritorial races, and other foreign forces shouldn't be so quiet. He smelled a hint of danger. These 3 forces might make a move. Lin Feng frowned. If the final battle really broke out, the people of the 9 regions would be plunged into misery and suffering. This was the thing Lin Feng didn't want to see the most. 3 days later, Lin Feng saw the old emperor. The old emperor walked around the 9 regions. He wanted to see his homeland in the final stage of his life. Jiang Moli was still accompanying the old emperor. After seeing Lin Feng, Jiang Moli naturally didn't have a good expression. He was still brooding over the previous matter because he was very unconvinced that he had lost to Lin Feng. During this period, Jiang Moli had heard too much about Lin Feng killing a great emperor, which made him even more unconvinced. Jiang Moli felt that he also had the strength to kill a great emperor, but his grandfather didn't let him deal with a great emperor cultivator. The 9 regions will be in chaos. The old emperor said. Lin Feng had already expected this. He said, "When the time comes, I'm afraid it will be a scene of a broken country." Chapter 30:65. This was not something that could be stopped by just 1 or 2 people. Although the old emperor was very powerful, he could not stop the cultivators of the myriad races, the extraterritorial races, and other foreign forces. Moreover, it was rumored that there were a few ancestors of the myriad races who had become emperors in the primordial age who were still alive. Time had not erased those old farts. Moreover, those old farts were also spying on the secrets of the 9 states. If a war really broke out, if those old farts made a move, it would definitely be disastrous for the 9 states. Who in the 9 states could fight against them? In Lin Feng's impression, perhaps only his master could fight against those old farts. However, his master, Lord Turtle, was only one person: the Red World Fairy, the Rock King, the Peacock King, the Stone Puppet King, and the others were probably unable to fight against the ancestors of the myriad races. Could the old emperor reach that level? Lin Feng was puzzled because he did not know what the old emperor's cultivation level was. He only knew that the old emperor was abnormally powerful and possessed combat strength that could be said to be heaven-defying. Other than the old emperor, there was also the Savage Senior, who might be able to fight against the ancestors of the myriad races. However, no one knew where the Savage Senior had gone. Moreover, the Savage Senior was not a cultivator of the 9 states. Would he choose to make a move? Therefore, the current situation was extremely grim for the cultivators of the 9 states. The 9 states was like a small boat in a storm. It could be overturned by huge waves at any time. Will that day come soon? Lin Feng could not help but ask. Perhaps it will take some time. They are waiting, the old emperor said. Waiting for what? Lin Feng could not help but ask. Perhaps they are waiting for the arrival of some powerful cultivators, some extremely terrifying ones. The old emperor sighed. Lin Feng could not help but feel a chill in his heart. If that was really the case, it would be too shocking. It seemed that chaos was about to come. I heard that the myriad races had emperors in the primordial age. Lin Feng's voice was somewhat bitter. That was the most fatal. There was no need to mobilize all of them. Only 2 or 3 of them would be able to create an unimaginable deterrence. Yes, the old emperor sighed. The old emperor sighed. The old emperor didn't stay long at Lin Feng's place. He was just passing by. He admired Lin Feng very much, so he came to see Lin Feng. After the old emperor left, Lin Feng felt that he needed to make some preparations. If a war were to break out, the dragon sect would definitely become the target of the 10,000 races, the extraterrestrial races, and other external forces. This was because the dragon sect was now the top force in the ocean domain. We need to move the people of the dragon sect away. We can't continue to stay in the overseas world because this place is isolated and without help. Moreover, there are no top-notch experts overseeing this place. Lin Feng couldn't help muttering to himself. Although his strength had improved greatly, Lin Feng still understood his own situation very well. So what if he could deal with a great emperor now? However, he could only deal with great emperors in the God-Emperor realm. Emperor God was only the first of the 7 great emperors. There was no need to mention how terrifying the great emperors were. Once a war broke out, he would definitely become the target of the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces. When the time came, the other party would send a few great sovereigns over. That would be too terrifying. Who would be able to fight against them? Lin Feng planned to move the cultivator army of the Dragon Sect to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. The mountain range outside the Reincarnation Immortal Sect was vast and could temporarily settle the cultivator army of the Dragon Sect there. If a war were to break out, when the time came, the cultivator army of the Dragon Sect would be able to work together with the Reincarnation Immortal Sect to fight against the enemy. The cultivator army of the Dragon Sect, including the family members of the cultivator army, would probably amount to 30 to 40 million people. Moving the cultivator army would naturally be complicated. It was a vast project. Fortunately, Lin Feng had collected a large number of ancient warships. They could be used to move the cultivator army of the Dragon Sect. Lin Feng discussed the feasibility of this matter with the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord also felt that they should move the cultivator army, and it had to be done quickly during this period of time. The cultivators of the 10,000 races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces were preparing for the final war. They had no time to care about Lin Feng's Dragon Sect. This was the best time to make a move. If they were to wait for the three forces to finish gathering, by then the cultivator army of the Dragon Sect might be targeted if they were to move. At that time, they might be directly destroyed. This kind of thing was very likely to happen. However, it was different now. The focus of the three forces was not on the Dragon Sect. Even if some people were targeting the Dragon Sect, it would not be difficult for them to destroy these people with the huge strength of the Dragon Sect. Since he had made a decision, Lin Feng gathered the upper echelons of the Dragon Sect and gave the order to move. As for the sea areas controlled by the Dragon Sect, they could temporarily abandon them. What they were facing now was not personal gains and losses. It was the rise and fall of the 9 provinces. The 9 provinces would fall. The Dragon Sect would definitely be destroyed. If they could protect the 9 provinces and defeat the 10,000 races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces, they would chase these people out of the 9 provinces. Then, the Dragon Sect could then kill their way back. The territory that originally belonged to the Dragon Sect would still belong to the Dragon Sect. Moreover, at that time, many forces would be destroyed, and the Dragon Sect could take over more territory. Lin Feng sent someone to inform Princess Xueli. The deep-sea demons that Princess Xueli belonged to lived in their ancestral land, so it was relatively safe. It was not easy for the 10,000 races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces to find the ancestral land of Princess Xueli's clan. Lin Feng warned Princess Xueli to restrain her clansmen before the chaos in the 9 provinces was quelled. Princess Xueli naturally knew what was happening in the outside world. She came to see Lin Feng with Naza. After seeing Lin Feng, Princess Xueli and Naza hugged Lin Feng. They originally wanted to follow Lin Feng back to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. However, Lin Feng did not agree to their request. The war was imminent. Lin Feng did not want them to take the risk with him. You must survive, Sister Naza, and I will wait for your return. Princess Xueli looked at Lin Feng with deep affection and worry. Big Brother Feng, we will wait for you. Naza said. She was very reluctant to part with Lin Feng. Don't worry, I will survive. Lin Feng smiled warmly. Then he sent someone to send Princess Xueli and Naza back to the ancestral land of the deep-sea demons. The Dragon Sect's cultivator army and their families had also finished gathering. Huge ancient warships, A total of 3,000 ancient warships set off together. Then they passed through the space-time wormhole and headed for the reincarnation immortal sect. Such a huge commotion could not be hidden from the other forces. The 10,000 races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces also received the news. Chapter 3066. The great emperor overseeing the southern celestial continent was an expert from the Golden Snake clan. The Golden Snake clan was one of the royal clans of the myriad races and was a famous ancient clan. After receiving news of the Dragon Sect's ancient warships entering the space-time wormhole, the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's cold eyes were filled with killing intent. With such a large fleet moving, it seems like the Dragon Sect wants to leave the southern desolate sea region. This Lin Feng really has foresight. I'm afraid he has already guessed that the myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and other external forces are going to attack the 9 continents. That's why he left in advance. However, do you think you can leave just because you want to? The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan then passed down the order immediately, gather the army, and kill Lin Feng. My lord, Lin Feng can fight against a great emperor. Moreover, the Dragon Sect's cultivator army has many elites with excellent weapons and equipment. We can only gather 500,000 soldiers. I'm afraid we can't fight against the Dragon Sect's cultivator army. A myriad races, cultivators said. Humph! The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan snorted and said, "Do you think I can't deal with Lin Feng? As long as we kill Lin Feng, the Dragon Sect's cultivator army will be defeated without a fight. By then, they will be utterly defeated." The myriad races cultivator hurriedly said, "Of course, I don't dare to think so. Although Lin Feng's combat strength is extraordinary, he's still miles away from my lord." The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan nodded in satisfaction after hearing that. He liked to hear these flattering words. Therefore, he was extremely satisfied after hearing those words. The trace of unhappiness in his heart disappeared. "Go gather the army. We'll kill Lin Feng halfway." The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan said, "Yes, my lord." The myriad races cultivator hurriedly responded and left quickly. Soon, the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan gathered the army. Then he led the army to kill Lin Feng. Rumble, rumble. The space-time wormhole shook the heavens. Ancient warships crushed the space-time wormhole's void as they flew at high speed. My lord, dozens of warships have appeared in front of us, blocking our way. At this moment, a cultivator came to report. Lin Feng said indifferently, "You're simply courting death." The ancient starship Xianyuan immediately sped up. He quickly rushed to the front. Then the fleet stopped. "Who's in such a hurry to come out and die? Hurry up and come out." Lin Feng walked out of the ancient starship Xianyuan and sneered. "I've long heard that you're arrogant and haughty. Now that I've seen it for myself, I can see that it's true. However, do you think that you can deal with me just because you killed that foreign creature created by the soul reconstruction technique? If that's what you think, then you're an idiot." The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan walked out of the cabin and sneered. "Isn't it said that the Southern Immortal Prefecture has several great emperors from the myriad races? Now that you've come alone, you're simply courting death." Lin Feng couldn't help but say indifferently, hearing Lin Feng's contempt for him, the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan couldn't help but be furious. A puny boundary emperor actually dared to be so presumptuous in front of him. He must be tired of living. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan sneered. "There's no need for the other great emperors to come together. I can deal with you alone." Lin Feng pursed his lips and said, I'm afraid it's because the other great emperors have already left the southern immortal prefecture, right? You're the only one left to guard the southern immortal prefecture. It seems like your status isn't very high. The myriad races, the extraterritorial races, and the higher-ups of other foreign forces are plotting something big. You don't even have the qualifications to participate, yet you still dare to boast shamelessly here. Don't you think it's ridiculous? You're about to die, yet you still dare to provoke me. I think you're the idiot. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan looked coldly at Lin Feng. About to die? Are you talking about yourself? Do you dare to come out and fight with me? Watch how I take your life later. The origin energy in your body is not bad. After I kill you, I plan to use your origin energy to stew a pot of soup and then share it with the cultivators of the dragon sect. I'll let them have a taste of the great emperor's origin energy. Lin Feng still looked calm as he spoke. Sect Master is mighty. Sect Master is invincible. The cultivators of the dragon sect had unconditional trust in Lin Feng. When they heard that Lin Feng had actually taken the initiative to challenge the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan, they believed that Lin Feng definitely had the strength to kill the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan. When they heard that Lin Feng wanted to share the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's origin energy with them, the cultivators of the dragon sect immediately roared in excitement. Those who hated Lin Feng might think that Lin Feng was too arrogant and really made them gnash their teeth in hatred. However, in the eyes of the cultivators of the dragon sect, Lin Feng was really domineering. You're the one who's courting death. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan sneered when he heard that Lin Feng had taken the initiative to challenge him. Lin Feng's action. It was exactly what the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan wanted. Because there were many cultivators of the dragon sect, it was hard to say what the outcome would be if they really fought. If Lin Feng borrowed the power of the dragon sect's cultivators, the great emperor might not be able to do anything to him. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan was still thinking about how to get Lin Feng to agree to a battle with him. However, the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan did not expect that Lin Feng would actually take the initiative to challenge him. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan flew out and walked towards Lin Feng step by step. His body exuded an extremely terrifying aura. A powerful emperor's aura spread out, making people feel suffocated. Lin Feng also flew out from the ancient starship Xianyuan. He was still calm and unhurried. Our Lord stepped into the God Emperor realm 30,000 years ago. This Lin Feng actually dares to challenge our Lord. He's simply courting death. There will be a good show to watch later. I wonder how our Lord will kill him. I'm really looking forward to seeing this scene. Yes, so many people wanted to kill Lin Feng, but failed. In the end, he died in our Lord's hands. How satisfying. Lin Feng's death is a huge blow to the 9 prefectures. When the time comes, if Lin Feng is no longer around, it will save us a lot of trouble. I wonder if you'll be able to kill him within 10 moves, milord. Let's wait and see. The cultivators of the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces began to discuss. In their opinion, Lin Feng was not a match for the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan, because the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan was at least a 5th heavenly layer god emperor. Although Lin Feng was strong, they estimated that he could at most contend against a 1st or 2nd heavenly layer god emperor, against a powerful existence like the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan. When the time came, only death would await him. Die, brat! The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan coldly stared at Lin Feng. He opened his hand and slapped towards Lin Feng. A huge energy palm condensed in the void and enveloped Lin Feng. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan wanted to kill Lin Feng in the void. Chapter 3067. Today, I'll let you know what I'm capable of. Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer in the face of the attack from the Golden Snake clan's great emperor. He threw a punch at the Golden Snake clan's great emperor. That terrifying punch contained a shockwave that could destroy heaven and earth. It was as if it could shatter heaven and earth, shatter the sun and moon. Its power was terrifying. Bang! Lin Feng's punch directly broke the energy palm formed by the Golden Snake clan's great emperor. Then, Lin Feng rushed towards the Golden Snake clan's great emperor. He then used the dragon elephant arm to attack the Golden Snake clan's great emperor. However, the Golden Snake clan's great emperor had no intention of fighting Lin Feng in close combat. Perhaps the Golden Snake clan's great emperor had heard that Lin Feng's physical body was extremely strong, so he chose to retreat quickly in the face of Lin Feng's attack. 8 snake steps. The Golden Snake clan's great emperor couldn't help but shout. Then his body changed continuously. Afterimages appeared one after another. The Golden Snake clan's great emperor's speed was unimaginably fast. After a few consecutive transformations, he had already moved to another place. Thus, he successfully dodged Lin Feng's attack. Great Sun Demon Buddha! Suddenly, the Golden Snake clan's great emperor let out a long roar. Then, he performed another powerful divine ability. This divine ability was even more terrifying. This was a divine ability that cultivated both devil and Buddha. After this divine ability was performed, a shadow appeared behind the Golden Snake clan's great emperor. The left half of this shadow was an ancient Buddha. The right half of the body was that of a giant demon. On one side, Buddhist light illuminated heaven and earth. On the other side, demonic aura surged and covered the sky. Behind this illusory figure, a great sun slowly rose into the sky. This was definitely a terrifying divine ability that could shock heaven and earth. After it was performed, one couldn't help but be shocked. Many people's souls trembled when they felt this aura. What a terrifying divine ability! My Lord's divine ability is truly vast and boundless. Let's see how Lin Feng dies. Ha 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 ha! Let's wait for a good show. I'm looking forward to the moment when Lin Feng is killed. The cultivators from the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other external forces began to discuss the matter. Everyone had a smile on their faces. In their eyes, the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan was invincible. How could Lin Feng compete with the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan? Lin Feng was shocked to see the Golden Snake great emperor's divine ability. It was definitely a terrifying divine ability. However, although this divine ability was powerful, it was not placed in Lin Feng's eyes. Back then, Lin Dufeng was able to kill the foreign creatures. Even though the foreign living beings created by the soul reconstruction technique were only at the standard of the first or second stage of the God-Emperor realm. However, the current Lin Feng could not be mentioned in the same breath. At that time, Lin Feng's realm was still at the 18th step. Now, Lin Feng's realm had risen to the 50th step. At that moment, Lin Feng's cultivation level had increased by 32 small steps. His fighting abilities had increased tremendously. Lin Feng quickly made a series of hand seals. Flowers bloom with a thought. The sovereign descends upon the world. A low voice suddenly sounded. Lin Feng displayed the Demon Lord's inheritance. As this divine ability was displayed, Lin Feng's body exuded a supreme domineering aura. He seemed to have transformed into an immortal ruler looking down at the heavens. Behind Lin Feng, a terrifying existence vaguely appeared. That existence seemed to be the immortal king of sovereigns. The appearance of that being actually caused the half-Buddha-like being behind the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan, to tremble in fear. Boom! Accompanied by a destructive aura, the terrifying existence behind Lin Feng surged out. That terrifying existence immediately flew out. Then, it quickly flew towards the other party. That existence was too powerful. Its aura was immortal. Immortal! Bang! Along with the sound of the violent collision, a loud bang was heard. The terrifying existence condensed behind Lin Feng collided with the Buddha-like existence condensed by the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. Suddenly, the Buddha-like existence's body began to crack. The existence condensed by Lin Feng was simply too powerful. Although the divine ability condensed by the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor was extremely powerful, it was still a little lacking compared to Lin Feng's divine ability. Lin Feng's flowers bloom with a thought. The sovereign descends upon the world was created by a demon lord level powerhouse. And it was not an ordinary demon lord's divine ability. It was a divine ability created by a demon lord in his lifetime. From this, one could see how terrifying this divine ability was. Perhaps it could be compared to the 6 paths of reincarnation. Such a powerful divine ability was simply earth-shattering. After the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor's divine ability was broken, the terrifying existence condensed by Lin Feng continued to rush towards the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. Look, the terrifying existence arrived in front of the great emperor of the Gold Snake clan, burning coal and attacking the great emperor of the Gold Snake clan. The Golden Serpent Grand Emperor clearly did not expect this to happen. The Emperor War had only happened a few months ago. How did Lin Feng's battle strength increase so quickly? This was something that the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor could not understand. How did Lin Feng's cultivation increase? The Golden Serpent Grand Emperor's magic power continuously surged out. Then, he hugged the moon with both hands and performed the moon embracing seal. The bright moon seemed to be able to shatter the world. Its power was extremely terrifying. It was simply terrifying and shocking. However, this divine ability still could not be compared to Lin Feng's flowers bloom. With a thought, the sovereign descends upon the world. The powerful existence condensed by Lin Feng instantly destroyed the moon embracing seal formed by the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. Then, it blasted the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor's body. The Golden Serpent Grand Emperor was sent flying. His face was as white as paper. How is this possible? The cultivators of the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces all looked at Lin Feng in disbelief. They had originally thought that Lin Feng would be killed by the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. Who would have thought that the outcome would be like this? After the two sides exchanged blows, Lin Feng was completely fine, but the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor was injured. Previously, many people had heard that Lin Feng had used all kinds of methods to kill the extraterritorial beings. He had even used 6 supreme treasures. However, the extraterritorial beings' battle strength was far inferior to the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor's. However, Lin Feng did not use any treasures during the battle with the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. The most unbelievable thing was that Lin Feng had actually injured the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. The Dragon Sect cultivators were unusually excited when they saw this. Is this your strength? If this is all you have, then it's too disappointing. Lin Feng walked towards the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. Then, he threw a punch at the Golden Serpent Grand Emperor. At this moment, Lin Feng seemed to have transformed into an unparalleled demon god. Chapter 3068. Thump! Thump! The surrounding cultivators couldn't withstand the terrifying aura emanating from Lin Feng's body, and all of them knelt on the ground. Everyone's heart couldn't help but surge with a deep sense of shock. When facing Lin Feng, They felt as if they were facing the ruler of heaven and earth. Lin Feng seemed to have become the center of this world. Everything between heaven and earth seemed to have disappeared. Only Lin Feng was left. He was so powerful, so terrifying, so noble, and so sacred that it shocked everyone. Lin Feng's terrifying punch directly shattered the void. This was the demon ancestor's sacred fist that was passed down from another demon lord. It was also an unparalleled divine ability from ancient times to modern times. The Golden Snake Clan's great emperor hurriedly punched out to block Lin Feng's attack. The two sides collided again, and the Golden Snake Clan's great emperor was immediately sent flying. Crack! Crack! The Golden Snake Clan's great emperor's arm was broken, and he was sent flying by Lin Feng. Barf! Next, the Golden Snake Clan's great emperor couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. His face turned even paler. You win. The Golden Snake Clan's great emperor's expression darkened. He turned around and fled into the distance. He lost to Lin Feng, and the 500,000 troops he brought with him were far inferior to the Dragon Sect's cultivator army. The Golden Snake Clan's great emperor couldn't rely on his army to turn the tide of the battle. Therefore, the Golden Snake Clan's great emperor chose to flee immediately. Where there's life, there's life. There's no fear of running out of firewood. As long as he could escape, he would have a chance to take revenge. Even the great emperor fled. Let's hurry up and run. Many cultivators cried out in horror when they saw the Golden Snake Clan's great emperor fleeing. The cultivator army formed by the myriad races, extraterrestrial races, and other foreign forces immediately lost their morale. Many cultivators abandoned their ships and fled. This was because it was faster to escape. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Lin Feng said coldly. He ignored the ordinary cultivators and chased after the Golden Snake Clan's great emperor. Due to the fact that this battle was taking place within the space-time wormhole, the cultivators from both sides were not the only ones inside the space-time wormhole. There were also many other cultivators who were passing by. They had also taken space-time wormholes to various places. And now, these cultivators were watching the battle from afar. They were especially shocked when they saw Lin Feng chasing after the great emperor of the Golden Snake Clan. That young man is Lin Feng. What? He was Lin Feng? Oh my God, he's really too young. Even the great emperor of the Golden Snake Clan is no match for him. Isn't he too strong? He hasn't broken through to the Emperor realm yet, right? If he breaks through to the great Emperor realm, how terrifying will he be? If I break through to the great Emperor realm, I might be able to kill immortal emperors, right? The cultivators who were watching the show couldn't help but discuss spiritedly. This Lin Feng is really handsome. I wonder if he has a woman? She really wanted to become his woman. If I can have a night with Lin Gongzi, I'd be willing to die for it. Some female cultivators also started discussing. They looked at Lin Feng with sparkling eyes. They couldn't wait to throw themselves at him. These cultivators included cultivators from the 9 states, as well as cultivators from other planets, small worlds, medium worlds, and great worlds. They wanted to invade the 9 states and enslave the 10,000 races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces. They were only a part of these forces. There were also many who had no intention of invading the 9 states. Of course, Lin Feng and the others were only targeting the 10,000 races, extraterritorial races, and other external forces who wanted to invade the 9 states. They would also treat the cultivators who were not hostile to the 9 states with friendliness. In the end, Lin Feng caught up to the great emperor of the Golden Snake Clan and engaged in a fierce battle with him. The great emperor of the Golden Snake Clan was already injured and was no match for Lin Feng. Lin Feng took out the demon horde worshipping God painting. Suddenly, an illusory image of a horde of demons worshipping Niwa appeared in the void. The illusory image descended from the sky and charged toward the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan. With a loud bang, the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan was sent flying. Crack, crack. He didn't know how many of his bones were broken. Barf. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned as pale as a sheet. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's combat strength had already dropped significantly. Now that his injuries were getting worse, his combat strength had dropped even more. Lin Feng, are you really going to kill me? I'm a member of the 10,000 Races imperial family. Killing me won't do you any good. Why don't we both take a step back? The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan couldn't help but shout. The cultivators who passed through the space-time wormhole were shocked when they heard the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan. They hadn't expected the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan to beg for peace with Lin Feng. The Golden Snake clan was indeed a clan that shouldn't be offended. They held an important position among the 10,000 races. Everyone looked at Lin Feng, wondering if Lin Feng would take a step back, as the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan had said. Would he let the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan live? Lin Feng sneered. Now, you know how to beg for mercy? Don't you think it's too late? I even dared to kill someone from the Sacred God clan, the #1 clan of the 10,000 races. What's more, your Golden Snake clan isn't even ranked in the top 10. So what if I kill you today? If anyone from the Golden Snake clan comes to avenge you, I'll kill them one by one. If 10 come, I'll kill 10. I'm destined to step on the bones of the great emperors of the 10,000 races, the extraterrestrial races, and other foreign powers to ascend to the great emperor realm. Many people were shocked when they heard Lin Feng's powerful words. Lin Feng was truly a domineering person, stepping on the bones of the 10,000 races, the extraterrestrial races, and other foreign powers to ascend to the great emperor realm. Who in their right mind would dare to say such words? But Lin Feng dared to say it. At this moment, Lin Feng erupted with even more terrifying battle strength. He brought out 5 types of heavenly flames: purple earthcore fire, black flame god incinerating fire, hell netherworld fire, golden dragon divine flames, black flame god devouring fire. The 5 types of heavenly flames condensed into a ball of flame under the burning wrath of the heavens. Boom, along with the sound of an incomparably violent explosion. The ball of flame that Lin Feng had condensed exploded. The destructive power instantly drowned the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan. Lin Feng, you little bastard. I believe that it won't be long before you follow in my footsteps. When that time comes, you'll die 1,000 times more miserably than me. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's resentful voice came from the explosion. Lin Feng rushed into the explosion and saw that half of the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's body had been blown apart. He had suffered a near-fatal injury. He quickly rushed over and beheaded the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan. Fresh blood spurted out. Chapter 3069. He's dead. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan has been killed. The great emperor of the Golden Snake clan was at least a 5th firmament divine emperor, but he was killed by Lin Feng just like that. What level is Lin Feng at now? He's just a cultivator of the Diqi layer. Maybe Lin Feng is much stronger than we thought. He's really a peerless genius that only appears once in a trillion years. If he doesn't die, he might be able to suppress cultivators at the same level. The cultivators who were passing by began to discuss among themselves. Their hearts were filled with shock. Lin Feng was terrifyingly strong. They had the impression that he was from a legend. Perhaps such a monster would only appear in myths and legends, right? But now, they saw a monster like Lin Feng in reality. Lin Feng returned to the Xianyuan ancient ship after collecting the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's origin. Seeing the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan killed, the dragon sex cultivator army was filled with vigor. As for the cultivator army formed by the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other foreign forces, their morale was slack. Those cultivators were in despair. Kill all the cultivators from the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other foreign forces. Battle cries shook the sky. In the end, the 3 cultivator armies were all killed by the dragon sex cultivator army. None of them managed to escape. Then, the dragon sex fleet quickly left, leaving behind a group of stunned cultivators. Lin Feng kept his promise. He took out the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan's origin and distributed it to everyone. Every battleship received a part of the origin. Then, they boiled meat soup on these battleships. The great emperor's origin was put into the meat soup. Everyone began to drink with relish. Although the great emperor's origin was not much, each battleship did not receive much. However, even a trace of the great emperor's origin had unimaginable benefits for godly realm cultivators. After drinking the meat soup, many of the dragon sex cultivator army broke through directly. Some even broke through several realms consecutively. The dragon sex cultivator army's combat strength increased greatly. News of the great battle in the space-time wormhole quickly spread. The news of Lin Feng killing the great emperor of the Golden Snake clan quickly spread throughout the 9 regions. This made many people almost unable to believe this rumor. After all, the Golden Snake clan's emperor wasn't an early god emperor. The Golden Snake race's emperor was a mid-level god emperor. He was actually killed by Lin Feng. If Lin Feng had been a great emperor and killed the Golden Snake clan's great emperor, no one would have been too shocked. After all, they were all cultivators of the same realm. Kill him. Wasn't this a very normal thing? But Lin Feng was a cultivator at the standard of the great emperor layer. Is Lin Feng really a quasi-emperor? Do you think it's possible that he's hiding his strength? It was then that some of the cultivators voiced out their doubts. They felt that Lin Feng might be hiding his cultivation level. Lin Feng's lifespan is less than 60 years. How many years has he cultivated? How can he become a great emperor? Following that, some people questioned. They felt that it was impossible for Lin Feng to become a great emperor at such a young age. It was simply unbelievable. What's impossible? Have you forgotten the divine firmament king? Back then, he became a great emperor at the age of 40 and cultivated for 34 years. It's even shorter than Lin Feng's cultivation time. Someone continued. The divine firmament king was an expert from the sacred god race. He was a figure from 18,000 years ago. Compared to his long lifespan, the divine firmament king was still very young. This was definitely an existence that would shock the ages. When he became a great emperor, he shocked all the races in the heavenly sage great world. At that time, many people even compared the divine firmament king to many great existences in history. They felt that the divine firmament king's future achievements might reach an unimaginable level, even though the divine firmament king had not appeared for nearly 10,000 years. The cultivators of the myriad races couldn't help but think of the divine firmament king. Could it be that this Lin Feng will become the second divine firmament king? Some cultivators of the myriad races sighed. Soon, doubts about whether Lin Feng had become a great emperor quickly spread throughout the 9 prefectures. Many people felt that Lin Feng might have really become a great emperor. such a young great emperor was naturally shocking. However, this kind of shock was far from being comparable to the shock of a great emperor boundary cultivator killing a mid-level god emperor. More and more cultivators felt that Lin Feng might really be a great emperor realm cultivator. Otherwise, he should not have such heaven-defying combat strength. Even some great emperor realm experts felt that Lin Feng was very likely to be a great emperor. If we want to kill Lin Feng, we have to send out at least high-level god emperors or even immortal emperors. The myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and other cultivators from the outside world began to discuss ways to kill Lin Feng. The stronger Lin Feng was, the more uneasy they felt. Many people wanted to get rid of Lin Feng as soon as possible, while the outside world was in an uproar because of Lin Feng killing the great emperor of the Golden Snake race. Lin Feng had already led the Dragon Gate army back to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. After returning to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, Lin Feng sent someone to invite the Great Strength Demon God. Then, the Great Strength Demon God opened up many spirit veins in the forest outside the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. They built many palaces and immortal mountains. Lin Feng arranged for the Dragon Gate army and their families to stay in the various immortal mountains. After returning to the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, Lin Feng's life became much more peaceful. The outside world did not affect Lin Feng's cultivation. He would comprehend the great Tao every day. If he encountered something he was puzzled about, he would ask Master Turtle. During this period, Lin Feng noticed that Master Turtle's expression was not particularly good. On this day, the master and disciples sat on a barren mountain, looking at the bright moon and drinking wine. Asked Lin Feng, "Master, you don't look well. Could it be that something happened?" Asked Lin Feng. Master Turtle muttered to himself, "Perhaps something terrible is about to happen. What is going to happen?" Lin Feng was shocked. Master Turtle did not answer Lin Feng. Instead, he narrowed his eyes and looked into the distance. "Tell everyone not to go out at night." "Yes," Lin Feng replied. The next day, Lin Feng issued an order that forbade anyone from leaving the sect at night. "I need to make a trip to the 9, Hell's Purgatory." One day, Lord Tortoise said, "Master, what are you going to do there?" Lin Feng asked curiously. "I need to retrieve something." Master Turtle said. "What is it?" Lin Feng asked. "You'll know once you retrieve it," Master Turtle said. Lin Feng followed Master Turtle to the Reincarnation Valley and entered the Reincarnation Pagoda. What a rare guest! Old Monster Mo looked at Lin Feng and Master Turtle with a sinister gaze. Chapter 3070. Back then, Lin Feng had entered the 9, Hell's Purgatory, on Lord Turtle's behalf. The 9 Serenities Purgatory was a very special place. The physical body could not reach this place. Only the soul could enter the 9 Serenities Purgatory. The 9 Hell's Purgatory was extremely harmful to the soul. Souls that entered the 9 Hell's Purgatory would suffer endless torment. Lin Feng's previous experience was still vivid in his mind. Even after so many years had passed, Lin Feng still hadn't forgotten. If possible, he didn't want to enter the 9 Hell's Purgatory ever again. "I want to enter the 9 Hell's Purgatory." Master Tortoise looked at Old Monster Mo, eccentric. Mo was greatly shocked and said, "Enter that place? You have to think clearly. This is an extremely dangerous place. Why don't you let this brat help you in?" Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes. This old monster, Mo, really knows how to come up with some weird ideas. It seemed that this guy didn't know how dangerous and painful it was to enter the 9 Hell's Purgatory. That place is too dangerous. He's just throwing his life away if he goes in. This time, I'll take the risk and enter. Lord Tortoise said. Lin Feng was very shocked in his heart, because even he didn't know what level of fighting strength Master Tortoise had. Now, Lord Tortoise was very secretive about where he was going. It was obvious how dangerous that place was. Moreover, Lord Tortoise had already said that he was going to the Nine, Hell's Purgatory, to retrieve something. Things from the Nine, Hell's Purgatory, couldn't be brought out. Of course, if he wanted to forcibly take something out of the Nine Hell's Purgatory, he would be able to do so. At that time, he might die in the Nine Hell's Purgatory. However, if one had sufficient strength, then naturally he could try to bring the items out of Nine Hell's Purgatory. As long as he could withstand the attack of the laws of Nine Hell's Purgatory, he might succeed. Old Monster, Mo said, "Since you've already made your decision, I won't continue to persuade you. Be careful." Lord Tortoise nodded and sat down cross-legged. In Lin Feng's impression, Master Tortoise had always been an optimist. There was no time for him to worry. But during this time, Lord Turtle often frowned. Clearly, Lord Turtle had a premonition of something. Lin Feng had asked Lord Turtle about it before. However, Lord Tortoise did not answer Lin Feng directly. Old Monster Mo opened the passage to the Nine Hell's Purgatory. Lord Turtle's nascent spirit left his body and entered Nine Hell's Purgatory. Then, Old Monster Mo closed the passage to the Nine Hell's Purgatory. "Senior, do you know what my master went in to retrieve?" Lin Feng asked Old Monster Mo. "I don't know." Old Monster Mo replied. He was practically a man of few words. Lin Feng knew that it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens to obtain any useful information from Old Monster Mo. He then changed the topic and said, "I want to see if the cycle of reincarnation will extinguish the fire. Take me to see this heavenly flame." Old eccentric Mo let out a strange laugh and said, "What? Could it be that he had designs on samsara's never extinguish the fire? You should give up on that thought. The owner of this heavenly flame is not dead yet. That existence is too terrifying. If you provoke him, even if you have 10,000 lives, it won't be enough for you to die." Lin Feng said with a smile, "I'm just going to take a look. I didn't say anything about refining samsara's never extinguish the fire. If I'm not worried about that, what are you worried about, Senior?" Old Monster Mo let out a strange laugh and said, "I'm just worried about you. It wasn't easy for the reincarnation immortal sect to produce such a promising disciple. I don't want to see you die prematurely." Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes and say, "Look at what you're saying. This junior is blessed by the heavens. How can I die prematurely?" Old Monster Mo let out a strange laugh and did not say anything else. Lin Feng noticed that Old Monster Mo was hesitating. So he did not ask Old Monster Mo to let him see samsara's never extinguish the fire. 3 days later, Lord Turtle's nascent spirit flew out of Nine Hell's Purgatory. Lord Turtle brought out an item. When Lin Feng saw it, he couldn't help but be surprised. It was an ancient lamp, and on top of that, it was broken into pieces a long time ago. The ancient lamp that Master Tortoise brought out was also broken. "Let's go," Lord Turtle said. Then he quickly left. Lin Feng followed closely behind Lord Turtle. "Master, what kind of lamp is this?" Lin Feng asked curiously as he looked at the broken lamp in Lord Turtle's hand. "This is actually just a replica. I don't know where the real one is," Lord Turtle said as he looked at the lamp in his hand. Then he sighed and said, "Moreover, it's just a broken replica. However, it might be enough." Lin Feng felt like his heart was being scratched by 100 claws. Lord Turtle seemed to be talking to himself and did not answer his question at all. Lin Feng asked again, "Master, you said that this ancient lamp is a replica? "Then which ancient lamp is this replica made from?" Lord Turtle said, "It's a replica of the 9 prefectures lamp." When Lord Turtle mentioned the 9 prefectures lamp, there was clearly something different in his voice. This was not the first time Lin Feng had heard of the 9 prefectures lamp. When Lin Feng had obtained the primal chaos origin aura in the past, he had entered the inner world formed by the mysterious ancient door. He had almost gotten lost in it. Then he saw an ancient lamp lit up, becoming the only source of light in the darkness. That ancient lamp was the 9 prefectures lamp. The reason Lin Feng had made his treasure into a lamp-shaped treasure was because he had been inspired by the 9 prefectures lamp. However, in reality, Lin Feng did not know much about the 9 prefectures lamp. Lin Feng then told Lord Turtle about how he had seen the 9 prefectures lamp in the past. Lord Turtle said, "This is a chance encounter that can only be chanced upon." Lin Feng understood what Mr. Tortoise meant. Seeing the 9 continents lanterns was something that couldn't be forced. Lin Feng was very clear about this. This was indeed something that could not be forced. It required luck. What is the origin of the 9 prefectures lamp? Lin Feng asked. He was very curious about the 9 prefectures lamp because it was simply too mysterious. The 9 prefectures lamp was even rarer than the supreme divine court, the door of everlasting life, and the heaven-shaking steel. The undying, immortal blood once lit up the 9 prefectures lamp, illuminating the mountains and rivers. Lord Tortoise murmured. His voice suddenly became low and deep. The 9 prefectures lamp is very special, and its origin is very mysterious. No one can control it, Lord Turtle said. This, Lin Feng was shocked. After hearing Lord Turtle's words, Lin Feng knew that the 9 prefectures lamp was truly extraordinary. Rumor has it that the 9 prefectures lamp is the final guardian of the 9 prefectures. If you want the 9 prefectures lamp to be destroyed, the 9 prefectures lamp will not be destroyed. Lord Turtle continued. The 9 prefectures lamp will not be destroyed. The 9 prefectures lamp is just an ordinary great world. It is said that even the 3 paramount realms will be destroyed. Is the 9 prefectures lamp stronger than the laws of order of the 3 paramount realms? Chapter 3071. Lord Tortoise couldn't help but say, the 9 prefectures are very special, and we shouldn't compare them to the 3 supremes. The 9 prefectures have a very special power that protects them, preventing them from being destroyed. Over the countless years, the 9 prefectures have gone through countless calamities, but they have always been able to survive. Despite the ups and downs, they still remain standing. Lord Tortoise continued. Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. It was indeed as Lord Tortoise had said. The 9 prefectures had remained standing throughout the long years, and countless planets with life, as well as many great worlds, had been destroyed during the turbulence. This was enough to explain many things. Apart from protecting the 9 prefectures, what other uses does the 9 prefectures lantern have? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask curiously. The 9 prefectures lantern was so extraordinary that he found it unbelievable. The 9 prefectures lantern was simply too miraculous. Lin Feng felt that the 9 prefectures lantern might be hiding some shocking secrets. And Lin Feng was also thinking about something else. In the past, why did the 9 prefectures lantern suddenly appear after he was trapped in that mysterious world? Could it be that the 9 prefectures lantern was related to him in some way? When this thought flashed through his mind, Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but skip a beat. He felt that there might be such a possibility, and if that was really the case, it would be too unbelievable. Lin Feng and Lord Tortoise chatted for a long time. The master and disciple kept talking about the 9 prefectures lantern, and Lin Feng also asked many questions. However, Lord Tortoise didn't directly answer Lin Feng some of the questions. He seemed to be afraid of something and couldn't directly say some things. However, from his conversation with Lord Tortoise, Lin Feng felt that the 9 prefectures lantern was extraordinary. It was definitely an ancient lantern that was filled with countless secrets and amazing abilities. Unfortunately, Lin Feng couldn't study the 9 prefectures lantern any further. Lord Tortoise placed the broken item he had obtained from the 9 underworlds purgatory at the summit of the 9 prefectures. Then, Lord Tortoise started chanting. He chanted the incantation and jumped up and down, just like those ancient priests performing the sacrificial dance during the sacrificial ceremony. Boom! Next, a terrifying aura of power radiated out from the broken ancient lamp. In that instant, Lin Feng felt as though the ruler of the world had awoken from its slumber. The pressure disappeared in a flash. Immediately after, a divine light appeared in the void. That divine light was dazzling and incomparably gorgeous. Then, the divine light spread out rapidly and enveloped the entire reincarnation immortal sect. This sect-protecting godly light should be able to hold on for some time, no matter what happens. Master Tortoise said, after doing all this, he showed signs of fatigue. What he had just done seemed to have consumed a lot of his energy. Master, what are you worried about? Lin Feng asked. There are some things that I shouldn't have told you at this time. Lord Tortoise said in a low voice. He waved at Lin Feng and asked Lin Feng to support his body. This was the first time that Lin Feng had seen Master Tortoise so tired. Lin Feng hurriedly supported Master Tortoise. He helped Master Tortoise back to his residence. After Master Tortoise sat down, he said, "A few days ago, I was observing the stars at night and had some enlightenment. When night fell, I vaguely heard a sorrowful cry." "What sound was that?" Lin Feng asked, puzzled. "The earth," Master Tortoise said, solemnly. "Everything in the world has its own life. Even a blade of grass, a grain of sand, a leaf, or a drop of water has its own life. The earth, the ocean, and even the sky of the 9 prefectures have their own lives. It's just that ordinary people can't sense their lives. When danger comes, the world will change. For example, when a flood breaks out, there will be groups of rats running amok. Dense groups of ants will move about. Wild beasts will become irritable and restless, and so on. When the earth wails, I'm afraid that unimaginable danger is coming. In recent days, I've felt an even more terrifying aura coming to the 9 prefectures. This feeling makes me very uneasy. An expert at Master Tortoise's level definitely had the ability to sense things on a whim. He was usually able to sense the arrival of danger. Therefore, Master Tortoise had become a little different from before. Previously, when he faced experts like the Supreme One and the Emperors of the 10,000 tribes, Master Tortoise remained calm. However, this time, Master Tortoise was different. However, it was different this time. If it was as Lord Tortoise had said, then the situation would be different. The existence that was about to descend upon the 9 prefectures could be a peerless and terrifying existence. Is there anything I can do? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. What you need to do is to restrain the disciples. Especially recently, there have been so many disciples in the reincarnation immortal sect. You need to restrain them. Otherwise, there might be trouble. Master Tortoise said. Lin Feng nodded. 3 days later, at night, on this day, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Dark clouds rolled. The dark clouds in the sky were about to fall to the ground. Heavy, oppressive, and suffocating. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the dark clouds. Streaks of lightning dragons swam within it. The scene in front of them was really appalling. It was as if doomsday had arrived. Anyone who saw the scene in front of them would be terrified. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown when he saw the weather outside. It was too abnormal today. He walked out of his residence. At this time, Master Tortoise hurried out. "Go back. No matter what happens, don't come out." Master Tortoise warned loudly. Lin Feng saw Master Tortoise so nervous for the first time. What had happened to make Master Tortoise so nervous? Lin Feng felt that his lips were dry. He felt that something big was about to happen. He wanted to help Master Tortoise, but Lin Feng knew that he couldn't help now. This made Lin Feng feel helpless. Strength. At this moment, Lin Feng wanted to improve his strength as soon as possible. Although many people thought that he was strong enough, only Lin Feng knew he was far from being strong enough. "Master, be careful," Lin Feng said worriedly. He then returned to his residence. Master Tortoise rushed out of the Reincarnation Immortal Sect in the rain. Outside the Reincarnation Immortal Sect, the black fog that was so thick that it could not be dispersed started to churn violently. A terrifying aura emanated from the black fog. Sensing the terrifying aura, Yi Zichen was shocked. Master Tortoise furrowed his brows. The world outside the Reincarnation Immortal Sect turned into a world of darkness. In the darkness, there seemed to be a terrifying existence. Swoosh! Master Tortoise gritted his teeth. Then he rushed into the darkness. Rumble! Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. Thick bolts of lightning struck down and lit up the endless darkness. Chapter 3072. In the room, Lin Feng paced back and forth anxiously. His expression was solemn because the situation in front of him seemed to be very bad. However, he could only wait patiently. That night, lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and rain poured down. To many people, it was just a night of storms. However, to Lin Feng, it was a night of torment. He did not know how much time had passed. Lin Feng finally sensed Master Tortoise's aura. Master Tortoise seemed to have returned from outside. He quickly left the room and went to the hall where Master Tortoise lived. Lin Feng saw Master Tortoise resting on a pillar. At this moment, Master Tortoise's face was pale and his body was trembling slightly. Obviously, the situation was very bad. Seeing Master Tortoise in this state, Lin Feng could not help but feel worried. This was the first time Lin Feng saw Master Tortoise injured. He quickly ran over and took out some healing elixirs and handed them to Master Tortoise. "I don't need these." Master Tortoise shook his head. He closed his eyes and regulated his breathing. Lin Feng did not dare to disturb Master Tortoise, so he stood by his side to protect him. For hours later, Master Tortoise's pale face regained some color. "Master, what happened? How did you get injured?" Lin Feng asked. He felt that the situation today was very strange. Perhaps some terrifying existence had arrived outside the Reincarnation Immortal Sect. "It's temporarily over. It's temporarily over. Don't tell anyone about what happened today." Master Tortoise did not answer Lin Feng's question. Instead, he warned him. Lin Feng wanted to know what happened, but he knew that Master Tortoise did not tell him for his own good. Lin Feng knew Master Tortoise's temperament very well. Although Master Tortoise did not seem to be a very good person, he was very independent. But in fact, Shangwei was a very opinionated person. If he didn't want to talk about something, no one could get any useful information from him. The black fog outside had dispersed, and the weather was gradually becoming clear. When the dark clouds dispersed, a rainbow appeared after the rain. Many people walked out and looked at the beautiful rainbow in the distance. They were talking about it, but only Lin Feng knew what kind of terrifying thing had happened yesterday. Demon Lord, what kind of creature do you think came to the reincarnation immortal sect yesterday? Even my master was injured. Lin Feng said. The shock that Lin Feng felt when Master Tortoise insta-killed his honor back then was something that he would never be able to forget. Lord Tortoise has lived for too long. Furthermore, Lord Tortoise is a black tortoise, azure dragon, vermilion bird, white tiger, brilliant serpent, black tortoise. These were the 5 great saint beasts. They possessed the most terrifying bloodline of holy beasts, comparable to true dragons, phoenixes, and other living beings. He was definitely one of the creatures with the most powerful bloodline in the world. Therefore, Lord Tortoise's talent, when he was young, was absolutely unimaginable. To put it bluntly, even a pig could become a peerless expert if it lived as long as Lord Tortoise. What more a black tortoise? Therefore, although Lin Feng couldn't confirm exactly how strong Master Tortoise was, he had an estimate in his heart. However, even with such a powerful strength, he was still injured. It was truly inconceivable. Could it be the primogenitor of the myriad races? The Demon Lord said, the primogenitor of the myriad races. Lin Feng frowned. Lin Feng naturally knew about the primogenitor of the myriad races. It was said that those undying existences were experts from the primordial era, who knew what realm they were at now. Lin Feng didn't know how strong they were, but since they could live for so long, their battle prowess must have reached an unimaginable level. Could it be the primogenitor of the myriad races? Lin Feng couldn't help but wonder. It made sense that the intruder was the primogenitor of the myriad races. However, Lin Feng had a feeling that the intruder wasn't the primogenitor of the myriad races. There was no basis for this feeling, but it was extremely strong. What kind of living being is it? He sighed. Lord Tortoise didn't say much about this matter. Therefore, Lin Feng felt as if there were 100 claws scratching his heart. However, he still couldn't find out what kind of living being had appeared yesterday. For a period of time after that, nothing like what happened that night happened again. Lord Tortoise's face once again had that infuriating smile. Master Tortoise seemed to have forgotten what had happened that night. However, Lin Feng still noticed something different. He saw Lord Tortoise alone several times, often in a daze. He didn't know what he was thinking. You can't give up on cultivating the 8-9 arcane art. Lord Tortoise warned Lin Feng. Yes, disciple will remember. Lin Feng replied. Lin Feng's 8-9 arcane art had reached the 3rd level. It wasn't easy to cultivate from the 3rd to the 4th level. It required luck. Lin Feng naturally wanted to finish cultivating the 8-9 arcane art as soon as possible. It was a cultivation technique that could kill him. Once he reached the 3rd level, he would have 30 years to reach the 4th level of the 8-9 mysterious art. If he did not succeed within 30 years, he would not be able to do it. If he didn't succeed in 30 years, his meridians would reverse, his blood would flow backward, and his body would explode. It had been 12 or 13 years since Lin Feng reached the 3rd level of the 8-9 arcane art. Now, Lin Feng still had 17 or 18 years to cultivate the 8-9 arcane art. Unless Lin Feng reached the 5th level of the 8-9 arcane art, he would be able to solve his crisis. Otherwise, the 8-9 arcane art was extremely terrifying. It could kill him at any time. On this day, a piece of news spread throughout the 9 states. It was said that a mysterious island had appeared in the deepest part of the sea in the northwestern part of the 9 states. It was rumored that the island was the long-lost Lulan Island. Countless treasures were buried on Lulan Island. Moreover, Lulan Island was related to the ancient city of Lulan. This caused a huge uproar, because many people had heard of the legends of the ancient city of Lulan. It was rumored countless treasures of this era were buried in the ancient city of Lulan. It was also said that there were materials to forge ancient weapons in the ancient city. They could even find materials to forge the supreme divine court and the door of everlasting life. This was too shocking. However, no one knew who had built the ancient city of Lulan. There were several theories about the origin of the ancient city of Lulan. The first theory was that the ancient city of Lulan was created by a race called the Lulan tribe. This Lulan tribe was extremely ancient. It was said that it could be traced back to the birth of the first Khanate life forms. It was said that the first ancestor of the Lulan tribe was from the same era as Nuwa and Pangu. They were the first Khanate life forms to awaken and were extremely powerful. This ancestor of the Lulan tribe had a hobby. He liked to collect all kinds of treasures. Chapter 3073. The second rumor was that Lulan was an ancient city created by the sorcerer race. How powerful was the sorcerer race in the past? The sorcerer race had 12 ancestors of the sorcerer race. These 12 ancestors of the sorcerer race were existences on par with Nuwa and Pangu. Therefore, after the great sorcerer Ho-E was killed, the sorcerer race dared to wage war against the monster race led by Dijun. After the war, the sorcerer race disappeared without a trace. The sorcerer race was an ancient and powerful race. How many treasures did they collect? It was impossible to imagine how many earth-shattering treasures the sorcerer race had found in their long history. The third rumor was that it was an ancient city passed down by the innate demon race. The innate demon race referred to Demon Emperor Tai Yi and Demon Emperor Dijun. After Demon Emperor Tai Yi's death, Demon Emperor Dijun took over the heavenly court and became a tyrant. In the later years of Monster Sovereign Dijun's life, Monster Sovereign Dijun wantonly collected supreme treasures from the myriad of worlds. However, after Demon Emperor Dijun's death, the treasures he collected throughout his life disappeared without a trace. Many people searched for the treasures Demon Emperor Dijun collected throughout his life, but to no avail. Therefore, many people linked Demon Emperor Dijun's treasures to Lulan's ancient city. Could Lulan's ancient city be built by Demon Emperor Dijun? Then, Demon Emperor Dijun placed all the treasures he collected in Lulan's ancient city? Thinking about it carefully, this seemed to be a possibility. These were the three most widely known legends, and they were also the three most easily accepted legends. Of course, there were many other legends about Lulan's ancient city, but those legends were not as credible as these three legends. Of course, legends were just legends. As for whether these legends were true, no one knew. After all, it was something that happened countless years ago. No one knew what had happened in the past. The ancient legends naturally became a story full of myths and legends. Regardless of which legend was true, there were countless treasures in Lulan's ancient city. Since ancient times, many experts had gone to search for Lulan's ancient city, but to no avail. Now that Lulan Island had appeared, everyone saw the possibility of finding Lulan's ancient city. Previously, Yarao told me that her father received news about Lulan Island and went to look for it. I wonder if he has already entered Lulan Island? Lin Feng fell into deep thought. Come to think of it, Lin Feng had to address the heavenly wind god as his father-in-law now. Of course, if the heavenly god knew that he had taken Feng, Yao Rao, he wondered if the heavenly wind god would attack him with its spiked club. Feng, Yao Rao's the demon emperor race, was the heavenly court, heavenly court, heavenly court's heavenly court, the heavenly court's god. They were all men, but with different identities, they naturally stood from different perspectives. Many cultivators had already headed to the sea region where Lulan Island had appeared. The 9 prefectures is truly a place filled with countless secrets. Needless to say, Many places of death have appeared in the 9 prefectures, such as the chaotic ancient nation and the current Lulon Island. An alien cultivator lamented. Continent, S-continent. Continent's race. Lon, S's continents. There's realm of lands, yen goddess. Many cultivators from the myriad tribes, extraterrestrial tribes, and other foreign powers were also rushing toward Lulon Island. Time quickly passed by. Large numbers of cultivators had gathered in the Northwestern Sea. Among these cultivators, there were countless powerful beings. Even Emperor stage cultivators had appeared. The ancient city of Lulon is going to cause an earthquake. Countless people are going to go crazy. That's right. Even the powerful beings of the 3 paramount realms are going to send powerful beings here if they hear about the ancient city of Lulon. That's right. The treasures in the ancient city of Lulon are simply too astonishing. All of the cultivators in the outside world were talking about the ancient city of Lulon. Nothing was more important than the ancient city of Lulon, and many cultivators who were in seclusion had also come out. Lulon Island was connected to the ancient city of Lulon, so no one could continue their seclusion in peace. If they were to enter the ancient city of Lulon, they would only need to take out one item, and that would be enough to defy the heavens. This was an opportunity. Perhaps one could only experience it once in a lifetime. Lin Feng also planned to head to the Northwestern Sea after receiving this news. Lin Feng brought Du Zhu and the evil Lord Holy Man with him. The 3 of them set off toward the Northwestern Sea together. Fire Qilin, Fairy Feng, and the others should have reached the ancestral land of the spirit demon tribe by now, right? They should have received this news as well. So they'll probably head to the Northwestern Sea as well. Du Zhu said, not long ago, Fire Qilin, Feng Yaorao, and the Little Peng King had all left. It was about time that they arrived at the ancestral land of the ancient spirit demon tribe. Feng Yaorao had been very worried about the safety of her father, the heavenly wind god. Now that Lulon Island had appeared, Feng Yaorao was definitely going to head there. She should be going. Lin Feng said, on this day, a top-tier powerful being stepped onto the mountains and rivers of the kingdom of the 9 states. This was a handsome man with a tall and slender figure, and he was enshrouded in holy light. His appearance immediately attracted the attention of many people. Piss off! A loud roar sounded in the distance. Several dozen cultivators flew over on a series of starry sky chariots. There were countless runes inscribed all over the surface of the starry sky chariots. The Battle Star tribe. Some cultivators recognized the newcomers. This was an extremely terrifying tribe, and they occupied several massive star realms in the extraterritorial world. This tribe could do whatever they wanted in the extraterritorial world, and no one dared to provoke them. As such, this tribe was extremely arrogant and despotic. This was even more so when they descended upon the kingdom of the 9 states. Even the imperial families of the myriad tribes didn't dare to provoke them. Hurry up and back off. There's no need to bicker with these lunatics, a cultivator from the myriad tribes said. If it weren't for the fact that I was worried about affecting the unity of the myriad tribes, the extraterritorial world, and the other cultivators from the extraterritorial world, I would have beaten these bastards up a long time ago. Immediately afterward, a cultivator from the heaven and earth great world sneered. Of course, no matter how one looked at it, he was just bragging. These people immediately opened up a path for the Battlestar tribe cultivator. However, the man enshrouded in holy light acted as if he didn't hear the cold roars of the Battlestar tribe cultivators. He didn't step aside. Instead, he walked forward step by step. You're courting death. The Battlestar tribe cultivators were instantly enraged. Crush him to death. A handsome man wearing a Battlestar tribe battle robe said in a cold voice, Yes, young master. Chapter 3074. These cultivators from the Battlestar race were used to being arrogant and despotic. Hence, they did not have any scruples. There was no one they did not dare to touch. Dodge quickly. Someone reminded that cultivator so that he would not be harmed. At this moment, that cultivator turned around and looked at the space war chariot that was charging towards him. A strange light flashed in his eyes. Following that, the space war chariot turned into ashes. After seeing this scene, everyone's face turned pale with fright. What kind of technique was this? Wasn't it too shocking? It was too inconceivable. It was truly shocking and moving. Who are you? How dare you kill someone from my Battlestar race? Are you tired of living? The young master on the main war chariot had a gloomy expression. Zhan Chun, the grandson of a grand elder of the Battlestar race. He has a very high status, a cultivator said, as he recognized the identity of that young master. His grandfather was an Emperor realm expert. He was a direct descendant of the Battlestar race and was about to reach 3,000 years of age. His talent was very strong. He was one of the most outstanding young disciples of the Battlestar race who had the highest chance of entering the Emperor realm. Hence, this Zhan Chen had a very high status in the Battlestar race. Hence, whenever he went out, he would be followed by a large group of people. Scram, the unknown cultivator said with an indifferent expression. He was very domineering. Although it was a simple sentence, it revealed his domineering aura. Even if he was alone, even if the Battlestar race had a lot of people and experts. Furthermore, the Battlestar race was a superpower in the extraterrestrial regions. He was fearless. This young master came to the 9 prefectures because I heard that a person called Lin Feng had appeared in the 9 prefectures. His combat strength is extremely terrifying and can even kill emperors. This young master has yet to kill this Lin Feng. Instead, I have met you, a reckless fool. Zhan Chen's voice was cold. He was very arrogant because he was strong enough. 500 years ago, Zhan Chen was already comparable to an early-stage god emperor realm expert. One could see how shocking this Zhan Chen's talent was. Furthermore, he had the Iron Blood War chariot that was passed down from the Battlestar race. This was an ancient treasure that had been passed down since the Archaic era. It was exceptionally powerful and could kill millions and millions of creatures. It was incomparably exceptional. If it wasn't for Zhan Jiudao, you would have died many times over. The man said coldly. When he mentioned a person, many people couldn't help but gasp. Zhan Jiudao was one of the most terrifyingly talented individuals in the history of the Battlestar clan. Rumor had it that when Zhan Jiudao was born, an anomaly appeared. A total of 9 heavenly Dao divine lights descended from the sky. It entered Zhan Jiudao's body. This was the origin of Zhan Jiudao's name. Zhan Jiudao was a character from about 15,000 years ago. This person was extremely terrifying and was known as one of the strongest geniuses in the starry sky world. Many old great emperors who had cultivated for millions of years did not dare to fight Zhan Jiudao, which showed how strong Zhan Jiudao was. Who do you think you are? How do you call out my clan's supreme genius by his name? Zhan Chen's expression was indifferent as a cold light flashed in his eyes. Zhan Jiudao, has your race been living a peaceful life for too long? The man suddenly sighed with emotion. Kill him. Zhan Chen said indifferently, Kill. With a loud roar, dozens of starry sky war chariots charged towards the cultivator. Apart from the destroyed war chariot that was used to clear the path, the rest of the war chariots only had one person on them. Every war chariot emitted boundless killing intent. The auras of the dozens of war chariots merged together and turned into a supreme killing force. They swept across heaven and earth, destroying the universe. They were extremely powerful. It was truly terrifying. Rumble! Loud rumbling sounds could be heard as even the void collapsed. Many people looked at those star chariots with deep shock in their eyes. If the war chariots were separated, they might not be as powerful as they had imagined. If they were combined, the power of the war chariots was too terrifying. Can that person block the attacks of so many war chariots? Someone asked. They felt that it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens for that cultivator to block the attacks of so many war chariots. The power of the war chariots was simply too terrifying. However, at this moment, two strange lights flashed in the cultivator's eyes. Following that, the powerful war chariots and the cultivators on them were turned into ashes. Oh my God! Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Isn't this too terrifying? Who is he? Many people couldn't help but exclaim. Zhang Chen's expression was extremely gloomy as he controlled the war chariot to charge towards the cultivator. The war chariot he was sitting on was the Iron Blood War Chariot, a supreme treasure passed down from the immemorial era. It had experienced countless battles and was stained with the blood of countless gods and devils. When the Iron Blood War Chariot was activated, demonic chi began to surge out from the war chariot. Countless phantoms of gods and devils appeared in the demonic chi. The phantoms of gods and devils formed an army of gods and devils. With a loud roar, they could destroy everything. The phantoms formed by the army of gods and devils followed the Iron Blood War Chariot and charged towards the powerful cultivator. What a terrifying war chariot! Many people were shocked. The war chariot was too powerful. It was definitely an unimaginable supreme treasure. Now that it was activated by Zhangchen, it displayed its terrifying strength. Kill! Zhangchen roared, his killing intent soaring to the heavens. He and the war chariot wanted to kill the powerful cultivator. Destroy! At this moment, the powerful cultivator opened his mouth and spat out a single word. Bang! In an instant, Zhang Chen's body shattered, and he died on the spot. As for the ancient chariot, it was grabbed by the mysterious and powerful man. The surrounding cultivators were all dumbfounded. Wasn't this man a little too terrifying? The man didn't stop. He walked forward step by step and soon disappeared without a trace. Who is he? Isn't he too strong? He shouldn't be a nameless cultivator. I've never seen this person before. I've also never heard of such a cultivator. The cultivators who had just arrived in the 9 states, the races outside the 10,000 races, and the other forces shook their heads. They didn't know this cultivator. I've seen this person before. A middle-aged cultivator said. This was a powerful cultivator from the fallen angel race. Who is he? Many people looked curiously at the fallen angel cultivator. Sacred God race. Divine Firmament King. The fallen angel cultivator said. Chapter 3075. The Northwest Sea was an extremely cold region. To the south was the Western Sea, and to the north was the Arctic Plains. Snowflakes could be seen everywhere. However, the surface of the sea was not frozen. Lin Feng, the heretical sovereign saint, and Du Zhu arrived at the depths of the Northwest Sea. They looked into the distance and saw a huge island. The island was like a continent in the middle of the sea. They couldn't see the end of it. Is that Lulon Island? Why is it so big? Lin Feng stared at the island in shock. This island was truly too large. Anyone who saw it would be astonished. Many cultivators had gathered around the island. Now, many people were talking about what had happened before. Every time there's a rain of blood, there's a chance to enter. An old man said, "Why is it like this?" Someone asked. They didn't understand why it was so strange. It sounded very creepy. Rumor has it that people used to live on Lulon Island. They were called the natives of Lulon Island. However, some experts came to Lulon Island. They killed all of them, not leaving a single one alive. Before the natives died, they cursed the experts who killed them as well. Those experts died, tragically because of the curse. From then on, Lulon Island became extremely strange. Blood splattered everywhere, as if describing the tragic fate of the natives of Lulon Island. The old cultivator said, when Lin Feng and the others heard the old cultivator, they couldn't help but frown. They didn't know if the old cultivator was telling the truth. If it was true, that battle back then was truly tragic. Blood must have flowed like rivers, right? A woman flew over from the distance. She didn't show herself, instead hiding in the dark. She glared hatefully at Lin Feng. She was an extremely beautiful woman. Whether it was her figure or her face, they were all of the best quality. She exuded a mature charm that was extremely seductive. If Lin Feng saw that woman, he would definitely recognize her identity. This woman was none other than Long Wuxin from the Palace of Cold Blood in the extreme north. Her elder sister, Long Wushuang, hated all the men in the world after she was slightly injured. Long Wushuang was furious when she found out that Long Wuxin and Lin Feng had done that kind of wonderful thing. He even planted the heart-biting goo in Long Wuxin. The heart-devouring goo poison was extremely strange. Anyone who was poisoned by the heart-devouring goo poison would regard the man they loved as their most hated enemy. Long Wuxin had the heart-biting goo insect for a long time. She had lost herself in it. In her heart, Lin Feng was no longer her lover, but an enemy she had to get rid of. Therefore, Long Wuxin came to kill Lin Feng. Lin Feng looked towards Long Wuxin as if he had sensed something. He didn't see Long Wuxin's face, only his back from afar. Then, Long Wuxin quickly disappeared without a trace. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. He felt that the back of that person was very familiar. However, it was too far away, and it was just a flash. Lin Feng couldn't be sure who that person was. "Young master, do you know that person?" Du Zhu asked. Lin Feng said, "Maybe I was mistaken." For the next few days, Lin Feng waited for the blood rain to fall again. Wu Liang Daoist left the 9 states. If he didn't, he would definitely be here by now. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Wherever there were treasures, the immeasurable Taoist would run to. If a place like Lulon Island appeared, Wu Liang Taoist would definitely rush there as soon as possible. However, Wu Liang Taoist had already left, so Wu Liang Taoist was destined to miss the opportunity in Lulon Island or even Lulon City. On this day, Lin Feng saw the cursed doll. However, Lin Feng didn't show himself. More and more experts arrived at the island. Lin Feng even saw young Master Nia and the other geniuses of the myriad races. He also saw Xing Yuchen, Yulingxin, Fairy Yaoji, and the other geniuses. The old golden crow is also here. Du Zhu flew to the island where Lin Feng was resting. Du Zhu couldn't stay idle for even a moment. This time, he came back with a piece of shocking news. The old golden crow, the protector of the heavenly demon emperor's son, had appeared. Now, the old golden crow's true body had appeared. It was exceptionally terrifying. The old golden crow's gaze was gloomy, and his entire body exuded a sinister and terrifying aura. Ever since the heavenly demon emperor's son was killed by Lin Feng, the old golden crow's true body had appeared with monstrous killing intent. The old golden crow hated Lin Feng to the core. He wanted nothing more than to kill Lin Feng right now to avenge the heavenly demon emperor's son. Lin Feng looked into the distance and saw the old golden crow's figure. "This old thing is a huge problem. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. The old golden crow was too powerful. It was no wonder why Lin Feng was so wary of him. Ordinary people couldn't fight against an existence like the old golden crow. The old thing was definitely a great emperor with a profound cultivation base. Lin Feng didn't know what level he was at for now. The outside world was saying that the old golden crow was very likely an imperial emperor. However, Lin Feng didn't know whether he was an imperial emperor or not. The female cultivator who had been following the heavenly demon emperor's son appeared next to the old golden crow. Lin Feng didn't recognize her. However, she definitely had an extraordinary identity. Her figure was as sexy and alluring as ever, and her face was as beautiful as ever. She was like a fairy who had fallen from the 9 heavens. Each and every one of her movements had a stunning beauty. She was definitely a supreme beauty. Her cultivation base was very strong. She had displayed great battle prowess and talent during the Prodigy tournament. She hadn't been following the heavenly demon emperor's son for a while. Now, her aura had undergone a tremendous change. Perhaps she had been cultivating in seclusion during that period of time. Of course, there were still many experts who hadn't shown themselves. Many of them kept a low profile and liked to pretend to be weak. There were also many who were more sinister and liked to sneak up on others. Thus, these cultivators didn't show themselves on their own accord. Not long after, a cultivator arrived at the outer region of Lulan Island. Divine Firmament King. Soon, someone recognized the Divine Firmament King. This caused a huge uproar and shocked everyone. The cultivators of the myriad races were especially shocked. Chapter 3076. It's really the Divine Firmament King. Many cultivators quickly rushed over and looked at the Divine Firmament King. When those cultivators saw the Divine Firmament King, they could confirm that it was really him. Who is the Divine Firmament King? Many cultivators were puzzled as they did not know who the Divine Firmament King was. That was because the extraterrestrial world was too big. No matter how talented the Divine Firmament King was, he was not an expert who ruled the heavens. The heavenly sage great world's myriad races. The cultivators in the stellar regions around the heavenly sage great world might have heard of the Divine Firmament King. However, the extraterrestrial races and cultivators in the great worlds might not have heard of the Divine Firmament King. The Divine Firmament King, the genius of the number 1 race, the sacred god race. He's someone from 18,000 years ago, and he's still extremely young. Of course, that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is that he became a dwarch at the age of 40. A cultivator said, "What? He became a dwarch at the age of 40? How is that possible?" Following that, many people exclaimed in disbelief. This was really shocking news. This kind of news sounded too unbelievable, so it was hard for people to believe that it was true. Many people felt that it was fabricated news. However, this news was quickly verified because a great emperor-level expert came out to verify this matter. Becoming a dwarch at the age of 40 is like a legend. Many people sighed. 18,000 years have passed. No one knows how powerful the Divine Firmament King is now. Maybe he can compete with a high-level dwarch, or maybe he's even more terrifying. Many cultivators were talking about the Divine Firmament King. This was because the Divine Firmament King was like a legend. He was too extraordinary, so no one could avoid the topic of the Divine Firmament King. Even those cultivators who already knew of the Divine Firmament King were extremely shocked when they saw him. Not to mention those who were hearing about the Divine Firmament King for the first time. The shock in those cultivators' hearts was far from being described with words. Lin Feng was also extremely shocked when he heard about the Divine Firmament King's achievements. Such a genius actually existed in the world. It was really shocking and enviable. It was simply unimaginable to become a dwarf at the age of 40. Before the great change in the world, there was no way for the 9 prefectures to become an emperor. Even a heaven-defying existence like the Red World Fairy, who had cultivated 3,000 types of great Tao, had only become an emperor after the great changes in the world. Because she stayed in 9 regions, the Red World Fairy was suppressed by the laws and could not break through. If she left 9 regions, she might be able to become an emperor as soon as possible. The outer world is far too vast. Those top-notch geniuses possess heaven-defying battle prowess that can make others pale with fright. Lin Feng said. He yearned for the outside world more and more. However, Lin Feng knew that even if he wanted to leave the 9 prefectures, he could only do so after solving the crisis of the 9 prefectures. Drive out the Tartars and restore the mountains and rivers. This was a sentence that every cultivator of 9 regions should take as their motto. At the end of the day, finally, another rain of blood fell. Quick, hurry up and go in. If the blood rain disappears, we'll have to wait even longer. Many cultivators couldn't help but shout. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One cultivator after another rushed into the rain of blood and quickly flew in the direction of Lulan Island. Lin Feng condensed a magical barrier around his body. The barrier protected his body as Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the heretical sovereign saint also quickly flew in the direction of Lulan Island. Suddenly, a faint voice resounded in the rain. How long will the blood rain last? Who will pity the billions of corpses? Eternal life is without tears of the blue ocean. Eternal immortality is but a dream. Lin Feng was shocked when he heard the faint voice. It was too mysterious and abrupt. It was as if someone was whispering in his ear. It was a short poem. When he heard the poem, Lin Feng couldn't help but see a boundless ocean of blood, a boundless world of blood, and countless corpses falling from the sky. The corpses on the ground were piled up like a mountain. Lin Feng quickly shook his head. Only then did the images completely disappear. He continued to listen to the voice. The voice completely disappeared as if it had never appeared. This puzzled Lin Feng. Could it be that everything before was just an illusion? Did you guys hear anything special? Lin Feng looked at Du Zhu and the heretical sovereign saint. Something special? What do you mean? Du Zhu and the heretical sovereign saint looked at Lin Feng in confusion. They hadn't heard the special sound Lin Feng had mentioned. Lin Feng frowned. Du Zhu and the heretical sovereign saint didn't hear anything. Was he the only one who heard it? This place was indeed very strange. He had to be very careful, or he might suffer a calamity. Screech. A sharp, ear-piercing sound suddenly came from inside Lulan Island. Then, a dense swarm of blood-colored bugs flew out. These blood-colored bugs were extremely ugly. They looked like bats. However, they had a hard shell and a pair of wings. When they saw the blood-colored bugs, many cultivators didn't pay too much attention to them at first. After all, many cultivators were extremely strong. Wasn't it easy for them to deal with some blood-colored bugs? Many cultivators had the same thought. Next, some cultivators took action, wanting to exterminate the blood-colored bugs. However, something shocking happened. When the cultivators unleashed their powerful magics, the blood-colored bugs devoured all of their magics. Blood-colored bugs that can devour divine abilities? What the hell is that? Many people couldn't help but exclaim. Their faces turned ugly. These blood-colored bugs were too strange. Even Lin Feng had never seen such a strange blood-colored bug before. When the divine abilities of the cultivators were devoured, the blood-colored bugs swarmed over and surrounded the cultivators. The cultivators who were surrounded by the blood-red bugs hurriedly brought out their magic power light shields to protect themselves. However, The magic power light shields were quickly gnawed away. There were also people who took out defensive magic artifacts to protect themselves, but the defensive magic artifacts released a defensive magic artifact, was quickly gnawed away by the blood-colored bugs. Chapter 3077. Holy shit, isn't this too terrifying? Lin Feng couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air when he saw the blood-colored bugs devouring the cultivators. What kind of bugs are these? They're so terrifying. At this moment, a large number of blood-colored bugs surrounded Lin Feng. Lin Feng directly used the Bladestorm ability. Dense and endless sword chi condensed and slashed at the blood-colored bugs. However, the sword chi condensed by Lin Feng's ability couldn't resist the blood-colored bugs at all. There seemed to be nothing that the blood-colored bugs couldn't devour. The sword chi formed by the Bladestorm was completely devoured by the blood-colored bugs. These blood-colored bugs were too terrifying. After devouring the sword chi formed by Lin Feng's Bladestorm, the blood-colored bugs immediately pounced on Lin Feng. Next, the blood-red bugs wanted to devour Lin Feng like they had devoured the other cultivators. Lin Feng didn't know what species these blood-colored bugs were. This was because there were many blood-colored bugs. What was the largest race in the world? It was the bug race. There were too many types of insects. Even a cultivator who specialized in cultivating insects would not be able to do so. The number of bugs, he knew, was just a drop in the ocean. The extraordinary power of these blood-colored bugs shocked Lin Feng and made him sigh. The world was so big, and there were all kinds of strange things. Lin Feng quickly summoned the heavenly fire. Chi 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 chi. Under the burning of the heavenly fire, the blood-colored bugs that pounced on Lin Feng were instantly burned to death. Du Zhu and the heretic sovereign saint had their own ways to deal with these blood-colored bugs. The poison ancestor was highly toxic to begin with. When the blood-colored bugs got close to him, a large amount of poison gushed out of Du Zhu's body. The densely packed blood-colored bugs were directly poisoned to death by Du Zhu. After this guy poisoned the blood-colored bugs to death. Then he stretched out his hand, grabbed the blood-red bugs, and stuffed them into his mouth. As he chewed on the blood-colored worms, he praised in a muffled voice, "What a delicacy! It's so delicious!" Upon seeing this, Lin Feng suddenly had the urge to kick Du Zhu into outer space. This guy really had a heavy taste. He even ate this kind of small bug. It was really disgusting. The evil Dominator Saint's method of dealing with those blood-colored bugs was even simpler. The body of the evil Dominator Saint was simply too tough. This was because he was a zombie, and a zombie was a type of zombie. A zombie's body was invulnerable, and the evil Dominator Saint's corpse was an emperor's corpse. The corpses of the emperor corpses were even tougher. Therefore, those little bugs couldn't bite the evil Dominator Saint's body at all. The evil Dominator Saint's body wasn't made of flesh and blood. These are blood fiend bugs, a type of bug that specializes in devouring magic power. Don't use magic power. Any method that requires magic power won't be able to kill these bugs. Use some special methods to deal with them. Some of the more knowledgeable cultivators recognized the origin of these insects and shouted loudly, "What? These bugs are blood fiend bugs." Immediately, some cultivators exclaimed, their faces filled with disbelief. This was a type of bug that had disappeared for a long time. Now, it had actually appeared in this place. Next, many cultivators took out jade talismans and the like to deal with the bugs. When the jade talismans and the like were activated, a large number of bugs were killed. After killing a large number of blood fiend bugs, the cultivators quickly flew towards Lulan Island. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the evil Dominator Saint quickly entered Lulan Island. However, as soon as they entered, a desolate aura swept over them. No one knew how many years it had been since anyone had entered this island. The aura was also different from the outside world. There was a thick stench of blood everywhere. Perhaps it was because of the frequent battles that broke out on this island. Many cultivators arrived at Lulon Island, just like Lin Feng and the others. Just as everyone was carefully sizing up Lulon Island, the sky suddenly darkened. Everyone looked up and immediately saw a dense cluster of giant dragons. They were giant dragons with wings. Each of them had a wingspan of 300 to 400 meters and a body length of 500 to 600 meters. These dragons were completely purple in color. Their bodies were surrounded by lightning, double-winged lightning dragons. Lin Feng was shocked. Double-winged lightning dragons were a type of dragon of the Western Dragon clan. They controlled the power of lightning laws. Even among the Western Dragon clan, they were considered very powerful. Double-winged lightning dragons were very rare in the outside world, but here, several hundred of them had appeared. After the appearance of the twin-winged lightning dragons, other beasts appeared. One by one, giant golden eagles with bodies over 100 meters long appeared. There were about 400 to 500 of those golden eagles. Golden eagles, it's a ferocious bird that can no longer be seen in the outside world. Some of the cultivators exclaimed. Their faces were filled with shock. They had seen another terrifying living being. This was truly unbelievable. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, the double-winged lightning dragons and golden eagles launched a fierce attack on the cultivators who entered Lulon Island. One after another, destructive attacks came crashing down. They blotted out the sky and covered the earth. It was terrifying to the extreme. The attacks were aimed at the cultivators who entered Lulon Island. Damn it, these despicable beasts. Many people couldn't help but curse loudly. They were furious beyond words. The wounds they suffered were extremely serious. It was as though they were on the verge of going berserk. Many of them failed to dodge in time and were killed off. The losses were extremely heavy. Many people died under the attacks of those terrifying creatures. Crack, crack. At this time, the ground cracked open. Then, terrifying creatures crawled out from the abyss. They were extremely ugly and emitted an extremely evil aura. They were like the great demons of the fiend race. Each of these creatures held a huge stone club in their hands. These huge and evil creatures swung their stone clubs at the surrounding cultivators. Bang, bang, bang. Following a series of violent collisions, many cultivators were smashed into meat paste. Rumble, the ground in the distance was shaking violently. The roars of beasts resounded through the clouds. Looking over, a dense pack of ferocious beasts was charging from the depths of Lulon Island. A beast tide. When Lin Feng saw those ferocious beasts blotting out the sky, his expression suddenly changed. The beasts in Lulon Island were too frightening. He sensed several frightening auras.